opportunity to get to have so many of you. This is by far the biggest ESPNW summit. We don't have a building that fits 13,000. So we're so thankful that you're all here. We have a fantastic day full of amazing women in sports media and athletes, conversations that we hope will not only kind of ground you in what we're all going through right now, but hopefully maybe release you from what we're going through, give you a break, give you some entertainment, give you some things to think about. And as I always say with the summit, taking that ethos and those beliefs right back to your own workplaces and trying to make a change. One good thing about this is while you cannot be stuck in chairs and feel like, oh, it's not a good time to leave, you can take us with you. So if you got to go to the bathroom or make a sandwich or maybe start the day drinking early, we're not going to judge and we're not going to be able to see. So go ahead and do it. Just don't miss anything. No need to turn your phone or your computer off. Just take it with you. Go outside, enjoy the sun. Sit on the can for all I care. You know, it's not a Zoom call. I'm not going to know. I can't mute you, so it's fine. Shout out to a couple people that are watching that have some birthdays, Kim of Big Mamas and Jen C. Thank you for spending your birthday with us. Thank you to all of you who have signed up and decided to spend your day with us. It's going to be worth it. I promise. These summits are amazing places for really critical conversations that do move the needle. People leave these spaces feeling like they have a chance to make a difference. So thank you for being a part of that. And also a part of this is the woman who made all of this possible, the founder of ESPNW and ESPN's Senior Vice President of Marketing, Laura Gentili. What's up, Laura?
Hey, Sarah. I like your backdrop. It's like a big ad for Jordan Metzel.
Yeah, and Julie Foudy, and Gatorade, and my own bobblehead, because, you know, self-promotion is the top of the list for me.
I need a bobblehead. No, thank you all for being here. It's awesome. To Sarah's point, you know, we really wanted to do anything we could not to cancel this event. I think we're all dealing with cancellation fatigue. Some of our favorite things in the world have been canceled or postponed. And so when that reality kind of came to us, we really took a deep breath and thought about how do we keep this going no matter what? And how do we bring the ESPNW Summit to our community regardless of the circumstances? And when you think of the ESPNW brand, it's all about optimism and resilience and strength. And so again, that was another reason that we said, we need to do this no matter what. And to Sarah's point, you know, we really understand that people need a bright spot. This has been a long haul. I think when this first started, this lockdown, Sarah, you know, maybe we could get our head around 4 weeks, 6 weeks. But now it's, you know, 10, 11 weeks. So we really wanted to bring a bright spot to people, and particularly today in Connecticut, it's gray. And New York, it's gray. So ideally, we bring a little sunshine to everybody and have an uplifting day. The other thing at ESPN is, you know, we've been really cognizant this whole time of how fans are feeling. You know, the notion that sports have been missing for quite a long time and people need an escape. And whether it's the ESPN marketing department or the entire ESPN crew, we're very cognizant of how fans are feeling. You know, this notion of social interactions are missing. The fact that there's a void, any sense of normalcy has been gone. So again, we want to compensate for that and provide a little gift within this lockdown. The other thing is, you know, as we look at the time that we've had and how different it is, you know, maybe it's a chance to really think about our priorities and what matters most to all of us and rethink those priorities. So maybe you're walking more or biking more, running or stretching more, certainly drinking more water. So
sure.
Again, we're taking that all into account to bring you a great day and give you a real taste of what W has been talking about and the themes that we've been exploring really for the past 10 years. So Sarah, I thought it'd be a good idea if we showed everybody a little sizzle of summits past.
Yeah.
You know, look at what it would have been like if we were in someplace gorgeous and beautiful right now.
Yeah, with unlimited wine. Okay. My living room looks just like that. It really does. It's basically
so you know,
in California.
Right, Sarah? We made it intentionally short So not to give you like too much envy and feel like, man, I'm missing the live music, I'm missing the sand, I'm missing the sun. And for those of you who have never been to a summit, that's a little taste, and maybe you can join us in the future back in Newport or Vancouver or Brooklyn this time of year next year. But again, as Sarah said, ideally we're giving you a 3-hour break, a chance to take care of yourself, really reflect and think about, what more you want to accomplish. It's been, I think, really difficult to think big and to think about big ideas in the midst of all this. We're all just trying to get through every single day. But this 3 hours will perhaps give you a chance to pause and think about yourself and think about some new goals that you want to achieve. And I would just ask you to stay with us and use the time. The last few things I want to say, one is really about the team effort that went into this. We could not have the summit this way without the team in Bristol, Connecticut. When that production and operations teams get behind something, they really do it to a T. So we learned an awful lot by doing the NFL draft virtually and the WNBA draft virtually back in April. And all of that knowledge has been brought to bear today into this summit. And that team in Bristol, led by Susan Malinsky, essentially raised their hand and said, hey, we want to do this. We want to take all the innovations that we learned and help you all out and bring the summit to as many people as possible. So a shout out to Bristol and the giant team at ESPN that's really behind this summit. And then lastly, just thought it'd be interesting to think about the 14,000 people who are tuning in right now and who registered for the event. It's a wide-ranging crew of people. So I just wanted to name a few, Sarah. It's everything from USA Swimming, Hockey, Volleyball, and Lacrosse, the Canadian Olympic Committee, Zimbabwe Rugby Union, I'm not making it up, Cricket Australia, the Girls Soccer Network. Then there's members of professional teams around the country, Golden State Warriors, Sky Blue FC, Seattle Mariners, the 49ers, came very close, but maybe this year, Brooklyn Nets, NYCFC, Chicago Sky, the Dallas Wings, the El Paso Chihuahuas, AAA affiliate of the Padres, folks from the Toledo Mudhens, Max Klingler would be proud, MASH, I'm dating myself. The Girls Soccer Network has no idea what I'm talking about. There's also folks from the NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, NBA, WNBA, the NWSL, which will be back in action in June, coming at us from Utah, the USTA, and then friends from our conference partners at the ACC, Big Ten, MAC, and Conference USA. Just to name a few. It's an awesome collection of folks. Plus friends from Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, Reebok, New Balance, folks from Home Depot, which was kind of one of my personal favorite outings during the lockdown, heading to Home Depot. Hundreds of universities, led by Duke, Stanford, West Point, folks from the University of Alaska Fairbanks, high schools around the country, Highland Park High School, to name one, the Connecticut Children's Medical Center, the good people at 545 Bedford Street, plus my mom, who I'll be surprised if actually can figure this out, and Connor Shell's mother. So just a smattering of the thousands of people who are tuning in and registering. And again, just thank you so much for joining us. And Sarah, thank you for being our host and taking us through the next 3 hours. Nobody better. Appreciate your teamwork over the years. And let's go.
Love being a part of this team, and it got bigger. Now it is a 14,000 person team. And the more the merrier for me. Let's make it a party. You can find all the guests that we're going to have throughout this day's journey on the page below this video where you're watching me if you want to get a look at who's coming up, including Sabrina Ionescu, the #1 pick in the WNBA draft, the newest New York Liberty. She'll be in conversation later. That should be a blast. Also want to give a big thank you to our sponsors. You can read all about them on the page where you're watching this, but quickly, Gatorade, thanks for sending me all the good drinks and gels and energy bites, things I'm absolutely going to need. Also, the world's cutest phone charger. Can we talk about this? This is adorable. I've also got some Bolt 24 to get me through today. It's perfect for athletes off the field, so I'm essentially an athlete today powering through these many hours of a live stream. Also want to thank the partners at Albright. It's a global sisterhood that celebrates and champions women to inspire change through private members clubs and digital membership. They connect smart-minded, career-driven women of all ages and stages with the tools, knowledge, content, and inspiration that they need via a program of live and digital events. That is Albright. Thank you also to Atrium Sports, our partners there. They empower teams, leagues, and federations around the world with a full-service technology platform that helps them capture, enhance, and benefit from their sports video and data content. Teams who use Atrium's platform gain more control of their video and data, as well as expanded digital capabilities to create new content, engage fans, and open new commercial opportunities. All right, we're also going to get your top quarantine tips. So right now or anytime in the next hour or so, go to Twitter with the hashtag ESPNWNYC and share your best quarantine tips, something that you've learned to help you get this through this time, a life skill, a life hack, or any comments about the summit. Share them on Twitter with hashtag ESPNWNYC. Best quarantine tips will be on the show later. Okay, let's get this party started with our very first panel.
Yes.
It is the Women at the Helm panel, a conversation with two top-level executives handling business in an unprecedented time. We'll talk about now and also talk about business as usual. And before they join me, let's take a look at one of the two women in the recent Dwayne Wade documentary, D. Wade, Life Unexpected.
At this point, if I want to see my kids on a consistent basis, the only fight that I have, the only thing I have left is to go for custody. It's either that or I'll allow her to control the destiny of my relationship with my kids. Today is the first day of really starting the case, and should be interesting to hear one lawyer say all negative things about me, and it should be interesting to hear another one say all positive things.
The number of times that he would have to leave practice to jump on a charter plane to get to Chicago in time to be in court to fight for custody for his boys. That happened so many times.
We gotta get to Chicago, got the kids waiting on us, we gotta get them out of here.
At the time, Dwayne was probably playing some of like his best basketball. And people don't know where that drive was coming from. It was the anger, the frustration, the hurt of what he was going through in this custody battle, and basketball was his sanctuary.
Hey, everybody. Excited to welcome these two women to this conversation. Kate Javeri, Executive VP and Chief Marketing Officer at the NBA, a Dartmouth grad, won't hold it against her, and she also previously worked at Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook before joining the NBA. Also, Lisa Joseph Metellus, co-head of basketball marketing and servicing at CAA Sports, repping guys like Dwayne Wade and Zion Williamson when she's not watching Babyface on IG Live and thinking about waiting to exhale. Welcome, Kate and Lisa. So excited to talk to you. Before we get to the jobs and the serious stuff, I need a quarantine tip from both of you because you are badass babes who are running things. So I know you've acquired some knowledge during this. Kate, what is your quarantine tip?
I is Peloton every day. Robin Arzon is getting me through this moment in time, and I feel her every morning get me started and ready to face what's next.
Love that. Lisa, how about you?
For me, I think I've had to deal with quarantine with two kids, a 5 and a 7-year-old. So the biggest thing that's kind of helped me through it is keeping with a schedule and managing really everyone's schedule, including my own, and just having some sort of structured environment. I'd love to say that I've picked up a skill along the way or read a book. That has not happened. But the fact that my kids are like about to complete school, we're all thriving, we're all surviving, is a really big success story for me and my family.
I mean, keeping your youngins alive is more than a skill. Trust me. I've never been happier to be childless, and that is not an insult to anyone with children. It's just me saying it's a lot easier out here in these streets without having any kids. Okay, Lisa, let's talk about that doc that we just saw a clip from. Dwayne Wade, a longtime client of yours. What inspired him to make that film, especially, midway through his career when he's still playing?
Well, first of all, I have to acknowledge the director on the film. my husband, Bob Metellus, who's watching out there somewhere. But this really kind of came about really with him, myself, and Dwayne about 10 years ago. I think Dwayne personally felt very early on in his career that he wanted to capture the journey, he wanted to capture the moments. He recognized that it's fleeting. It's like one day you're a part of the NBA draft and the next day you're retiring. And although he's had an amazing 16-year career, it went by really fast. And about 10 years ago, Bob and I were dating. He was a photographer and a videographer, and he was always with us. And I think there was just a moment where he just on his own started capturing photos and videos of just us being our normal selves. And I think along the way, we realized that we were keeping a catalog and a library really of Dwayne's life and career. And when he was going into his final season, he reached out to Bob and said, "Look, we've been shooting all of this content, and we've always said we're going to hold on to it until we figured out what we want to do with it. Now I'm ready to tell my story." And that's how it all came about with the help of Ron Howard and the folks at Imagine. We did the documentary that aired on ESPN.
It was fantastic. And I'll tell you, one of the things that came around the conversations as you guys were promoting the documentary was his very public conversations along with his wife, Gabrielle Union, about his daughter, Zaya, who had
Yeah.
decided to come out as transgender. What kind of conversations did you have with him about what it means to be a professional athlete taking on a topic like that publicly?
Well, it's interesting because it's so personal. So there wasn't a strategic plan. There wasn't a discussion on how it was going to be done. I think Dwayne was just being a father, and as most people know who follow him, he's very open about his life, Gab's life. They share a lot on social, and I think he
Hmm.
just felt that he was just being a dad. I remember he posted something one day. We were having a fashion show, and this was at the time Zion's first kind of like moment where he was walking down the runway, and Dwayne posted it, and my immediate thought was, and this was Zion being in all of her glory at the time. Um, and I remember saying to Dwayne, I was like, "I love that you posted that." And he was like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, "I love that you weren't afraid of what people were going to say." And it started this conversation for he and I throughout this process that really just focused on how are they dealing with this as a family? What has it been to see the switch? Because the reality, and Dwayne's very honest about this, is that he's been part of those conversations in the locker room. He's been ignorant to what the LGBTQ world is like before Zion became Zaya. And so how did he have to start educating himself, and how was that journey for him and his family? And I think it was just natural to share that on social. It was natural to share that in the documentary, but there wasn't a moment where it was like a PR strategic move that we were doing. This was really just him sharing his story as he does with everything else in his life.
Yeah. Kate, obviously, Dwayne, one of the biggest stars in your league, and he's finding ways to connect with his tween daughter. You have had to do that over the course of the many platforms that appeal to those of Zaya's age: Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. I'm pretty tech savvy, but Twitch scares the hell out of me still, and I realize that makes me sound like, get off my lawn. What drew you to work in those emerging technologies and sort of understand how youth are using them?
Yeah, I always joke that if you were to look at my phone, you'd think that I was 25 years younger because of all of the apps that I use. I've always found that as a marketer, it's really important to understand who your audience is. And throughout my entire career, I've been driven to understand why people come together and what drives community. And platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Twitch are really interesting places that bring people together in unique ways, whether it's about friends and family or whether it's about something that you're interested in. And as I thought about communities and really the uniqueness of what technology and communities can do today, um, I really found no better community than the community of NBA fans. We're so passionate, we're so engaged, and our fans are so young and they're across all of these platforms. So for us, it's really about meeting our fans where they are and thinking about the type of content that they're into, whether they're on Twitch watching G League games or whether they're watching an Instagram Live with Steph Curry and Dr. Fauci talking about the coronavirus. And so really, it is about finding all of the different ways that our fans today want to engage with us and making sure that we're there. And it, forces us to have to learn every single day, which is exciting.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure you picked up a lot of skills there that you brought over to the NBA, which is, of course, one of the most progressive and forward thinking leagues in terms of embracing new technologies and stuff. If you can, a little bit, talk about what your duties are, because they're pretty wide ranging. And I think we hear titles and don't always know what that means on a day to day basis. So, what's your focus?
Absolutely. Thinking about all of our leagues and really managing our brand and our fan engagement across the NBA, the G, the W, and the 2K League, and understanding our fans, understanding what they want to hear from us, where they want to meet us, what types of content they want to see, and and really thinking about that, whether it's on TV or whether it's on TikTok, and what type of content and what type of fan is interested in us, and what do they want to hear from us then, and working really closely with folks like Lee, their voice are amazing voices, and we want to make sure that the NBA is able to help amplify those voices.
Obviously, the league and its players have been greatly affected by the current hiatus. Lisa, what does that mean for you in dealing with your clients and their brands and their projects when everything's sort of on hold?
Well, I think for us, our team has really looked at how we can support what our players are doing. A lot of our clients have really spent this time trying to figure out how they can help. A couple of our clients have been affected. Donovan Mitchell being one of the first NBA players to be affected by the COVID-19 and publicly talk about it. And I think for all of us, our role has been just to how do we get them to, how do we help navigate through that process? And whether it's clients that want to support their local communities, their hometowns, we've had an amazing team of people, led by Hillary Thomas at CAA, who's just really helped through that process. And for us, on the marketing side, it's really just been about really working with our partners to figure out what are the messages that we want to put out. Everyone has kind of been scrambling and pivoting and trying to figure out how do we best tap into the guys and utilize this time with them. And I think our role has just, again, been to guide and figure out what they're passionate about, what makes sense, you know, ensuring that we're not being tone deaf on what's happening in the world. And I think that's been our role throughout all of this.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure for a lot of athletes to maybe be a part of something that they aren't always involved in, and certainly to stay focused on their workouts and whatever else to be ready if the word is expressed that they're going to return to play. I'm curious, when things are not slow and when we're not in the midst of a pandemic, you have a lot of options for some of the biggest names in the league. How do you decide what is a good choice for their brand, when they might be oversaturated, and are there ever times when you say no to something and after the fact, oh, that's actually a great campaign, or that would have been a good one?
That's a really good question. I think for us, first of all, every client is an individual. And I think the biggest thing for us is just tapping into their passions and their authenticity. There has been deals that have come to the table for Dwayne that, is great money. No one else would probably turn down, but if it's something that he's not passionate about, that he won't be excited about waking up for to show up to that commercial shoot or do those press calls about, it's just not worth it. So for us, it's always about really owning who the client is and really aligning them strategically with partners that make sense, that they believe in personally. and making sure also that they share the same values and messaging that the brand also shares.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, especially when you're someone like Dwayne, who's obviously been very upfront about what he supports and believes in. There's probably a lot of back checking on all the other people that he's going to be involved with to make sure their messaging is really
Absolutely.
similar.
Absolutely.
Kate, I'm curious, obviously players and coaches and everyone waiting for the league to return are under a lot of duress trying to figure out that timeline. But marketing side and the branding for the league itself, how has your job been affected by the hiatus?
On a day-to-day basis, it's definitely been an adjustment. When we paused the season back in March, much of the team went into a remote work scenario, like much of the country. And so we've been trying to find unique ways to stay connected and to get the work done. And from a league standpoint, we were fairly nimble at launching a new program and running during the hiatus, with really the focus on providing fans um, both the information that they need about the pandemic. So we've produced over 40 PSAs with 45 different players sharing information about how to stay safe. We've also committed to raising $50 million. And so far to date, we've raised over $77 million for those who have been
Wow.
affected by the pandemic. Really phenomenal across all the teams, players, and the league. And then lastly, much like ESPN, we've had an opportunity to really experiment, like Laura was mentioning. We really have been trying to think about, without live games, how can we continue to provide great content for our fans who are craving basketball and craving our players? And so we've done some really interesting things. We had the NBA 2K Players Tournament, the horse competition, and then have been across a lot of the platforms that I mentioned earlier, doing a number of new programs like NBA Together with Ernie Johnson. Where he interviews current and former players. And it's been really great to see how our have really rallied around and enjoyed that content, and all of the different ways that we're trying to work through this. So it's been an adjustment, but I feel like we're learning a ton, and we'll take a lot of that into the future when we do get back to planning for basketball.
Absolutely. Congrats on 77 million. That's fantastic. And certainly some NBA players and WNBA players have been really on the forefront of some of the conversations around the pandemic. Lisa, there have been a number of issues, even just this week, as awful as it is to say, in 1 week, multiple issues of police brutality and of vigilante, I guess, justice, although justice is certainly not the word for what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. I'm curious, there's so many opportunities for your players to speak to social issues, to speak to issues that matter to them. How do you guide them? Of course, if you have someone that's incredibly well-spoken and well-versed and takes the time to be educated, they are a gift. What if you have a client that maybe wants to say something and be a part of something, but doesn't have maybe the skill set for it? How do you work through that?
Um, wow, that's definitely an awesome question. One, just acknowledging in general what's happening in our world right now is awful, and I appreciate that you even brought that up. Um, Again, I think it all goes back to the core of who that person is. Like, I would never want a client to feel forced to come out and speak on something that they're not educated about. And I think for us, especially athletes who tend to be mainly African American, they may have they may feel the pain and the trauma and be mentally affected by what they see and what is happening in the world, but they may not be in the position to be out and speaking on the forefront, because the one thing that we do have is, you know, social media. And if you say the wrong thing or in not the right way, you'll get slammed for it. I saw an athlete recently tweet about George Floyd and talked about having prayers for the police officers. And I
Hmm.
understand the spirit in which he said it, but because, everyone is not in tune to that, he got slammed for it, whether it was right or wrong in his thinking. So I think for us, we encourage and we create opportunities where if something is happening, we're reaching out to our guys. How do you want to respond to it? Um, I'm not too much into the messaging because again, this is something that is super personal for them. And I think for us, it's just being there to support. If there's something that they want to say, how do we best utilize the platforms to say it? I will go back to that moment at the ESPYs with Dwayne, LeBron, and Carmelo and Chris Paul. That was an opportunity for four well-known African American athletes to utilize a platform where they were going to have an audience of millions, including their fellow athletes, to step up and say enough is enough. We just are the teams behind the scene supported what they were doing, but that was their messaging. That was their, I think at one point, they were having conference calls on their own. They didn't even include us in it because it wasn't about, it wasn't about us. It was about how they felt and the message that they wanted to provide. So we just choose to give support to that and try ways to amplify it and help guide them through the process.
Yeah, that was a fantastic message with a big audience, and to hear that they sort of handled that on their own makes it even more powerful, of course, than to be working with some sort of branding or background support. Kate, the WNBA has been on the forefront of social issues. It's more and more a part of the brand itself. And at ESPnW, we've done a fair amount of research, especially when we were about to launch, in understanding the different ways that women fan and the different ways that people react to women's sports. What have you done in your research or in your work to sort of understand how to differently sell the WNBA versus the NBA?
Yeah, it's definitely a space where we spend a lot of time to be able to look for example, the NBA. About 30% of NBA fans are women. For the W, that number is closer to 45. And when you look at the audience who really resonate with the W and who are really interested in the WNBA, they tend to be young, diverse, and really looking for brands that speak to them. And so what they find with the W is players and an ethos that really speaks to who they are as change makers and as social. We have done and was a rebrand earlier this summer, actually just before I joined the NBA, with the arrival of the new commissioner, Kathy Engelbert. The W really looked to lean into that audience and to really put the players and the fans at the center, to really amplify all of the good voices that we hear from the W and ensure that the players have a huge voice, and it becomes a player first league. And we've seen tremendous success so far. We've been really that we announced a few months ago. And then also, as I think you mentioned at the top, we were the first league to do a virtual draft, and it was the second most viewed draft.
Yeah.
In the history of the W, and we are seeing tremendous fan response. We are seeing social engagement through the roof, and just a love of players and this new brand. And so we'll definitely continue to market to this audience and really engage them as we look and work with Kathy.
You kind of cut out. What were you saying launched about a month ago? Uh-oh, we might have lost it. Hey, Kate, what were you saying launched about a month ago? You sort of cut out there.
Oh, sorry. The about a month ago with the new CBA. Uh, and
Oh, right.
so
Yeah, yeah.
and so we've seen tremendous fan and player reaction to the new CBA.
Absolutely. I think there's a frustration too with the season not getting underway because of so much excitement about this new look WNBA, and obviously Sabrina Ionescu, who's coming up later, being able to make her debut. But yeah, the really building on the identities of the players and their personalities, which are so fantastic, the work that they do and their effort and talent has made the WNBA soar. And it's such a great example of how marketing and giving people the stories and the stakes can really help them find new teams and players to root for. Lisa, your job requires a lot of trust from the athletes. Their brand, their career, their finances, their image are all in your hands. How did you make your way into a position where someone like Zion Williamson or Dwayne Wade says, this is the woman that I want handling this massive part of my career?
Time. I think time is, as in with any relationship, I think it's just a matter of, um, connecting with someone and, specifically with Dwayne, because Zion, I've had the pleasure of working with him for the last year. But with Dwayne, it's been 16. And I think we have gone through, where'd y'all get those photos from? Oh, you're taking me down memory lane. But I think it's just gone through like moments of ups and downs. And I think what makes our partnership special is that, it was great to be there, when he was lifting his trophies, but I had to bring that same energy when things weren't so great in his life and when he hit the valley multiple times and be there to help pick him up. And I'll say this, it's a two-way street. And he's been the same for me as well in my personal life. So I think the way I approach it is this is a personal relationship. There has to be a level of trust. You have to know that I'm operating with good intent. And I need to also feel like, you look at me as a human being and someone who, has my own life, and I have a family and I have kids, and what happens to
Right.
all of us, and not just somebody who's here to make a transaction or a deal or show up to a photo shoot. There's someone that really is behind the scenes. So for me, I think, that's what makes our partnership really special. And I think the fact when I go back to time, 16 years has allowed us that time to have that trust.
All right, speed round. I have two quick questions for you. What's something about Dwayne Wade that we don't know? Because I feel like we know a lot. Like you said, social media between him and Gabby, we see everything. What's something we don't know about him that you know from 16 years?
He thinks he's really funny, and his ultimate goal is to be on stage to do a one-man comedy show.
Oh boy. Listen, I'm not putting it past him. If he puts his mind to it, he's going to do it. And he's got enough friends to fill the audience and laugh,
Right.
even if they're just doing it to be nice.
Right.
I'll tell you that much. All right, second question for you. If you could go back in time to any time, who would be the dream client that you would have represented before your time?
Gosh, before my time, that is really putting me on the spot.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble now, right? Because you might be trying to snag somebody else's.
Yeah,
So we'll go someone that is.
Pass on that question.
So no one. I'm going to go Michael Jordan if I'm.
You know what? I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with MJ, especially coming off of the documentary and seeing, just reliving all of that. MJ was the reason why I fell in love with basketball. Like, that's really why I'm in the business.
Me too.
So
Me too.
yeah, MJ would
Yeah.
definitely be that.
Wow, what a wonderful thing to finish on. Just all of us getting to dream of and think about Michael Jordan again. It's been a couple days since I got to talk about him, so I feel good about that. Kate, Lisa, thank you so much for joining me, for battling technology and everything else. We so appreciate your wisdom and insight. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Dwayne Wade comedy special. Okay. Speaking of someone who I wouldn't put anything past, Simone Biles. This girl can do whatever she puts her mind to, and we'll be hearing from her later. One of the most dominant athletes of all time. Cannot wait for that. Here to introduce our next panel is Senior Vice President of Multi-Platform Storytelling and Journalism at ESPN. She's a Harvard grad, a former hooper, a mom of two, an amateur photographer of the aforementioned kids and the gorgeous lake that's right in her backyard. If you follow her on social, you get a lot of those. It's Allison Overholt. And we're going to take a look at one of the projects she oversees. Here's a clip from the Sabrina Ionescu cover story.
I was like, why don't you just come up and live with me and come play basketball and figure it out? And so he was all on board.
Just seeing what she's all about, how she's the first one in the gym, last one out. First one in the classroom, last one out. I wanted to have those characteristics rub off on me.
Eddie enrolled at Oregon their junior year. That season, Sabrina set the NCAA triple-double record for men and women. With Eddie in the stands, she would lead Oregon to its first ever Final Four. Let's go! But the Ducks would fall short of a national championship.
And is this the last time Sabrina Ionescu plays a collegiate game?
It was a great season for your team, but have you given any thought to next season?
No. Following the loss, Sabrina had 24 hours to declare for the WNBA draft.
I was torn. The opportunity to go pro is something that I always dreamed about.
I felt that weight on my shoulders almost that she had.
He starts bawling, and then I start crying, and so I was like, I just don't know.
I know that her competitive mentality was telling her to stay.
So I just remember I said, I'm gonna stay. That's all I said.
Ionescu zip past Hebert up, and she scores. Over to Ionescu, left side, lay it in. And that gets the crowd into it. A historic mark. Sabrina Ionescu, she has just become the first player in Division I history with 2,000 points, 1,000 assists, and 1,000 rebounds.
I'm so proud of you. That's so cool. How did playing against Eddie kind of shape the player that you've grown into?
He didn't take it easy on me, regardless if I was a girl, if I was smaller. He tried to do everything he could to win. And I did too.
Give me my money.
I don't think I would be half the person that I am today if it wasn't for him.
Oh, a fantastic cover story. I don't think there is a single basketball fan on earth that didn't want to see how Sabrina and the Oregon Ducks were going to finish out this season and the tournament. Such a bummer. Allison, thanks so much for joining us. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Really appreciate that. Hi, everyone. I have the pleasure of leading ESPN's multi-platform journalism and storytelling teams, as Sarah mentioned, and I am so happy to be here with all of you and just have the opportunity to share with you a little bit about what we do. So for more than 10 years now, ESPNW has been driving the conversation for women in sports from within our company as much as it has with all of you. And moments like today are just a really special reminder of what we've built here. The idea, frankly, to me, that more than 13,000 of you are gathered with us today and that we are all connected by our shared passion for sports, our belief in the strength and the power of, and from where I'm sitting, the incredible stories of women's achievements in sports. It's just work that means so much to us. So we hope that you'll spend a lot of time with our ongoing coverage on our site, the drumbeat of storytelling that we do around stars like Sabrina, leading into the WNBA draft, news breaking like yesterday's news about the NWSL coming back for their tournament next month, deep dive stories into issues that matter for women in sports, like the ongoing pay equity conversation, whether that is the U.S. women's national team's ongoing legal fight or the way the conversation changed with the WNBA's new collective bargaining agreement with its players this year. The other thing that comes to life, though, the more time that you spend with us is the special voice and the perspective and the power of the kinds of storytelling that comes from the kinds of people that we have telling those stories with ESPNW. So if you've spent time with us over the years and read Alison Glock, you may have caught up with her when she shared the things that she's lost in this time of Corona as a former athlete, that shared physicality and movement that comes from spending time with her dance group. She's a former basketball player, now finding that kind of life in athleticism and dance and what it means to not have that in this moment and how she's trying to find connection with her fellow sports fans in other ways. And today you're getting a little bit of a taste with Julie Foudy and all that she does with Laughter Permitted on her podcast. She has that special ability to connect the dots between these big, deep, meaty issues around pay equity, but combining that with the kinds of conversations like with Dr. Colleen Hacker talking about the power of laughter for all of our mental health in a month like this. And then she segues seamlessly to being able to just have actual legit side splitting conversations with many elite athletes who join her on her podcast. So if ever there was a person who was ESPNW personified, it's Julie Foudy. Now, up next, I'm so pleased to be able to introduce the star of one of our most recent, really powerful stories that you had a chance to see that clip of at the beginning here. It's Oregon basketball legend Sabrina Ionescu, #1 WNBA draft pick this year, in conversation with just the best in the business, one of our legendary interviewers, Hannah Storm. Floor is yours.
Hey, Allison, thanks so much. I am here in Connecticut. Sabrina is in Eugene, right? Sabrina, where are you right now? Let's see, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing her. Sabrina, can you talk again? And yeah, okay, great. I can hear you now. Yeah, so hey, what are you doing back at school?
Working out, doing really the same thing. I have a couple more weeks of school, so staying on top of my schoolwork and working out and seeing some teammates here and there, but that's about it.
What is the situation like there in terms of the students? Are a lot of the seniors, I know that class has been remote, but what are you seeing in terms of some of the students coming back with graduation coming up?
Yeah, there's a few. I've definitely seen a lot of students around. Things are starting to open up here a little bit. Restaurants are open, stores are starting to open, and so I've definitely seen more students come back, take graduation pictures, kind of spend time with their friends and their roommates just for this last couple weeks that we have here in college.
One of the really cool elements of this graduation coming up is that you are a commencement speaker. How did that come about?
They asked me, President Schill called me and asked if I would do it, and I was like, sure, I'll do it. I've never really spoken at like a school event before, so I was definitely a little bit nervous than usual, but excited that I have that opportunity to do that.
How long is your commencement speech?
It's about 8 minutes. It's pretty long.
That's long. And do I understand that you've recorded it already, right?
I have. Yeah, they had a whole setup in the arena, and I was able to have my cap gown and was able to record it. So I did it already.
Okay, so, but I mean, with social distancing, how many people were in the arena?
There was only 5. We all wore masks. The cameraman stayed, like everyone stayed within 6 feet apart. So I had a mask on, and then as soon as I started talking, I took the mask off and then kind of put it back on.
Well, I mean, you know that, listen, you've spoken enough that having an audience, you know, is important, right? So what was it like delivering an 8-minute commencement speech with like virtually nobody there?
It was really weird. There was definitely a few jokes that I had in my speech, and I had to laugh at my own joke, kind of thinking like there was people in the stands that would be laughing with me, and there really wasn't. So it was definitely a weird feel to it, but I hope everyone that's able to watch it online gets a good laugh at some of the jokes I had in there.
And did you have to do like some go ducks and just kind of hope that people were, you know, kind of fall in line, I guess, at home?
Definitely. I had to do the Go Ducks. I threw my O. I just try to have as much energy as I could, which is really weird in an empty arena, but hopefully it goes well through the computer screen.
I mean, you know, that experience may come in handy, actually, being in an empty arena, if things are going the way we think they are, playing without fans perhaps, and I know you're waiting to see what's going to happen with the WNBA season. What do you think that would be like playing without fans? You had such great fan support that you guys built at Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, definitely really different. Obviously, every game, that's what you're excited about. You're excited to go out there in a packed arena and just kind of through the ups and downs of the game, have people cheering for you and they're supporting you. So it'll definitely be different, but I know that I'm going to play the same regardless if there's a packed arena or if there's no one there. So I'm just excited to hopefully be able to play and obviously kind of take on the court with my teammates.
Speaking of having the same intensity, that clip that we saw that I loved, the story of you and your brother Eddie. So you guys used to go out and play in the park for Slurpees and things like that, right?
Yeah, we did that often, especially growing up. The park was where we always went to go play against other people, to go play against each other. So that was definitely something that we did, whether it was in the front yard or if we went to that local park and played.
And is that where you develop that intensity, those one-on-one battles with your brother?
Yeah, for sure. And even playing against a lot of older men, a lot of other people that came to the park during their lunch break, that's definitely where a lot of that intensity started because that's who we played against at the park.
Now, you grew up in Walnut Creek, so I'm imagining that during part of this pandemic, you've been back home, right?
Yeah, I've been home for about 2 months.
Okay, so when you're home for 2 months, I mean, none of the gyms are open. So, what have you been doing to stay in shape when you're not in Eugene to get ready for the upcoming season?
I've been working out at home every morning just in my backyard. I've been lifting, doing a lot of push-ups, crunches, doing a lot of body weight stuff. I have some weights. I was able to get a medicine ball and some other balls off Amazon early on in the quarantine. And then I'll go to my middle school or my high school and I'll run around the track and I'll shoot at the gym outside or the hoops outside. So I've definitely still been able to practice, work out, do yoga, and just stay active.
Okay, wait, there's a couple of things there. Did you tell me you went back to your middle school to work out? You've been doing that?
Yeah, my middle school is down
So,
the
so,
street.
okay, so somebody's like walking by and they're seeing Sabrina Ionescu working out at the middle school, right? I mean, what has that been like?
Yeah, I haven't seen too many people. I saw my vice principal and I saw all my PE teachers there that were cleaning out the lockers. So I was able to talk to them and see them. And obviously, all those teachers are still there. So it was really nice to kind of come back and say hi to them. I actually saw them all like the day before the draft and the day after. So it was really cool to kind of have that experience with them. And they were super happy for me. So it was fun.
Wait, you saw all your old PE teachers the day before the draft? That's so cool.
Yeah.
So they obviously took full credit for your success.
They did for making me run my miles and play basketball and all the sports during recess and PE.
Okay, wait, making you run your miles. So what was the thing when you were growing up that you just hated doing the most in terms of training?
It was probably it wasn't the mile. I took the mile really seriously at school. I was one of those kids that like the day every Wednesday that we ran the mile, like I was going like 100%. So I was trying to beat my record in the mile, but I'd say the beep test when you had to run on every beep, and I was so competitive that the bell would ring and I would continue to run until I couldn't run anymore. So that was one that I would say I didn't like as much as the mile.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever had to try to rein that competitive nature in? Is there any time where it works against you?
Sometimes in the classroom, I know this year we were put into groups in my master's program to kind of design some type of equipment, and we were really not competing at all. And I made the teacher at the end of class pick who's she liked best and made sure that it was my groups. And everyone was like, Sabrina, we're not competing. This isn't a competition. So that was definitely one time I was like, you might be right. Maybe I shouldn't do this.
99 times though out of 100 it works for you. And you know what? Since we're like going down memory lane, I love this little clip of you. I think we have it. Back in the day when you were just a youngster and you were speaking to your class and you had a career ambition. Let's play that for a sec.
Overall, I have valued all my basketball experiences, and I am looking forward to many more. My family has always been there for inspiration to keep pushing and one day become a WNBA player.
Okay, how old were you at the time?
I was in elementary school, so I think that was third or fourth grade.
Oh my gosh. Wow. How did you, I mean, what was it about the WNBA at that time that sparked your imagination like that?
I mean, I just knew that that was the best league to be a part of, a professional league, and I knew I was loving playing basketball at that time, so I wanted to do everything that I could to reach that level.
Was there a player that you really admired, somebody that you just loved watching?
Becky Hammond was definitely my favorite player. She was my first and only WNBA jersey that I owned. So I would definitely say Becky Hammon was that player that I loved.
Okay, and what did you love about her?
Oh, everything. I mean, just the way that she was able to play the game, how hard she worked, just her vision, obviously as a guard, and then now just being able to watch her in the NBA. And obviously, I've been able to watch a lot of the NBA, and that has always been something that I watched growing up. And so, kind of just being able to see her transition from the WNBA into greater things in the NBA has been something that I continue to watch and am really impressed by.
It's so cool that you loved her as a player and that she went on to become a trailblazer in a whole new level. Have you guys ever talked?
We've exchanged a few messages on Instagram. That was definitely like a
Okay.
top 10 moment when I saw that she had followed me and kind of commented on some of my pictures, and I think posted something a couple months ago. So I would love to meet her one day and kind of just pick her brain and see how everything's going and how her journey's been, but in due time.
All right, there's enough people at this summit. I'm pretty sure somebody can make that happen. We will, we
Hopefully.
will help you. You don't have to DM. We'll make that happen for you. So I think it's so exciting that you're coming to New York. I know you. I mean, who knows when that's going to happen? You've only been to New York twice, right? What were your impressions of the Big Apple?
Yeah, I've only been there twice for basketball. Actually, a couple years ago, I think my senior year in high school and then my freshman year in college. So I loved it. It was really fun to be able to go sightseeing, to be able to eat the food, and obviously a little bit different when you're there on a business trip. So I think I'm excited to just hopefully be able to get out there and spend more than a couple days there and just being able to see everything that makes that city so beautiful.
Again, all in due time. How are you dealing right now? You have this goal. You know you're the top pick. You know where you're going, and I'm sure you have a lot of things that you want to accomplish. But who knows when? How are you dealing with the uncertainty?
I'm really just trying to focus on what I can control, and that's just how I'm training and preparing at the moment. And so everything else will really take care of itself. I know the NBA and the WNBA are slowly trying to come up with a plan on maybe when we can return and how we're going to return. Obviously, safety is most important, but that's not really something that I can control. I think what I can control right now is how I can get my body to be prepared for that next step. So whether it's yoga, whether it's eating and sleeping right, really just taking this time to try and be the best that I can and make sure that I'm ready for whenever that start date is.
Did you do yoga before the pandemic, or is that something new?
Absolutely not. I did not do yoga before the pandemic, but now I have started to do some yoga, started to stretch a lot more with the time in the house. So I kind of appreciate that because I'm
Yes.
learning.
Yes, bored in the house. We all do. We all do a lot of things that we haven't done before, including TikTok. I saw you do your first TikTok. I think we need to take a look at that. One of the great athletes of our time. There she is. All right, give us the story behind this.
Oh no. My little cousin is huge on TikTok. And so I was like, let's see, let's try and make one. It took us about 2 or 2.5 hours to make it because I could not remember any of the dance moves and she knew them all. So she was really holding me to a high standard with the dance moves. It took her about 15 minutes and she had it down. So I definitely need to keep improving my TikTok game.
Okay, but I'm guessing there's another reason why it took so long. How many takes did you do before you were happy? Speaking of competitive.
A lot. Like there was no way that I was gonna post one that I wasn't like 100% like about, that I knew that that was gonna be my best one. So that definitely was the one that I was like, there's no way I'm getting better than this. So this is what I'm posting.
I think it's good. It's really, really good for a first
Oh,
time.
thank
I mean,
you.
most of us don't look that good. Okay, what's your next one? What music are you listening to? What's your next one?
I don't know. I last night I stayed up way too late on TikTok trying to find what my next one's gonna be. I'm thinking in this next week I'm gonna come out with one. So stay tuned to all my followers on TikTok. Please just wait. I'm gonna come out with a good one.
Okay, all right. And what music are you listening to right now?
Like on TikTok or in general?
No, just what are some of your favorites? Like what are you listening to right now?
Oh, I really listen to country and rap and hip hop. Those are like the two genres that I'm always listening to. So really whatever's on the radio, whether it's rap, country, it's what I'm listening to. And obviously depends. If I'm working out, I'm listening to a lot of rap and then or hip hop. And then if I'm kind of just chilling at home, it's kind of country.
All right, and what are you watching? Because we're all watching things, we're finding ways to entertain ourselves, not able to see our friends. So, what have you watched? What's been your favorite thing so far?
I'm not watching anything at the moment just because of how busy I've been, but I finished Money Heist and that was top 5 favorite. I watched Ozark. So I
Oh,
definitely was on Netflix at the beginning of this, watching a lot of shows that I hadn't had time for, and now I'm trying to stay away from it and keep working out and finishing up school.
yes. And watching a lot of game film, I'm guessing. How are you preparing for the upcoming season? What have you been doing?
Yeah, definitely watching a lot of game film. That's kind of like my new Netflix now. Just trying to keep up on all the plays that they have there. Obviously, new coaching staff, and so we have kind of this system where we're able to log on to this app, and it goes over every single play, has video of the plays, and so been doing that, and then also watching WNBA games from the last couple years to just familiarize myself with the other teams, the other players, and how they're running their offense and defense.
Mhm. And then how have you been able to connect with your new teammates? By the way, 6 of whom are rookies. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, definitely a young team, but we have Zoom calls about once or twice a week to go over the plays and what we learned and kind of just get to know each other a little bit. Obviously, it's different from being on the court, being in the same city, and being to interact. So we're having to figure out how.
We're looking at this very cool video of you being named the #1 pick and your family. What was that like? And to be able to share it with them, to be in your home. What do you remember most about that evening, Sabrina?
Yeah, it was special. Obviously, would have loved to have been in New York, and obviously even at home would have loved to have more family around and really just celebrate. But that was really my core group right there. My longtime high school coach, my agent, who's also like a family member to me, and then my close family. So it was really awesome to be able to share that moment with them.
And do you feel like with such a young team and there are low expectations, is it a little bit of a parallel in a way to coming to Oregon to really building that program? What sort of opportunity do you think that you and these other rookies, this extremely young team without the pressure of expectations, what sort of opportunity will you have?
I mean, I think sky's the limit. Obviously, the outside expectation is really low on us. I think we were projected to finish last, and I mean, our expectation for ourselves is obviously going to be a lot higher than that. And so I think it kind of just lays down the foundation of what we can accomplish there, as a team, and obviously with the right coaching staff and the right front office. I think sky's the limit for us. So I'm just really excited to start.
And what does it take from your perspective, from your years at Oregon, what it takes to build a winner and to build sustained excellence? What do you think is the key?
Oh, I mean, there's so much that goes into it, and I wouldn't have been able to say that unless I went through it myself. And so I just think being able to see the relationships that I had built, and obviously having the right pieces in place, it really takes a village. And so I think just being able to have those right pieces in place and those teammates that are committed to winning and not only playing for themselves but playing for that person next to them. And so I know that we have great pieces there. Obviously, I don't know them all personally, but I trust that that coaching staff knows exactly what they're doing and getting the right pieces in place to really kind of transform that franchise there.
And I'm sure that you learned a lot about being a leader on a young team. You'll certainly have the opportunity to do that again. What was it that you learned during your time at Oregon about yourself as a leader and what it takes to be a good leader?
I learned so much. I think that's definitely one of the areas and categories that, have has really changed my life on and off the court. I mean, just how important leadership is and having really great leaders around you. And so I just had to find ways to elevate my teammates and really kind of get us all on the same page and use that, through my voice and through my platform and really just how I work and how hard I work every single day in practice and in games. And so I'm just excited to hopefully bring what I learned in college and obviously continuing to grow and learn from a lot of those veterans that are on that team and in the league.
Another platform that you're going to have is with Nike. Congratulations. A lot of people might have thought, oh, this is a given, of course, with Nike being so closely aligned with Oregon and obviously with the headquarters right there in Beaverton, not far from you. But what was the process like as you were considering different companies to work with?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy. It almost felt like college recruiting all over again, but at a little bit of a higher stake because your future is really kind of determined on that decision you make. And so, obviously, relationships was really important to me, and I've had a really long relationship with Nike, just being a Nike athlete for about 10 years now through high school and then in college. And so, I think really just weighing out the pros and cons, and obviously wanting to align with a brand that has high values and really sky's the limit. And Nike really embodies all of that on and off of the court, the field, really whatever sport you're playing. And so I'm really happy with the decision I made, and I'm just excited to see how both of us together can continue to grow the game of basketball.
It is a collaborative effort with a lot of the Nike athletes. From your perspective, what are girls and young women looking for? What do they need right now in terms of a shoe?
I mean, that obviously is gonna take, some time. I mean, I need to perform in order for there to be a shoe, but I just think, having a voice and especially using that voice, there's so many women in sport, not even in basketball, that use their voice and their platform and really demand excellence and demand good, and I think that's huge. And obviously, if that means a shoe down the line, I think that's gonna be awesome to be able to have little girls and even little boys in a shoe that's designed by a woman because it's something that isn't really known and isn't something that you see every single day. And so I'm excited to see the future of women's basketball and how it's going to continue to change. And hopefully I can be a part of that.
I'm really excited that you're helping to lead the way in that regard. I read something on your Instagram that you said that, this past few months has been some of the hardest times of your life. Your 4 years at Oregon were the best time of your life. But we all know not being able to finish school and look for a national championship, and also the loss of your friend and mentor, Kobe, and his daughter, Gigi. All of those things were very difficult for you. And I'm wondering how you've moved past that and stay positive and look forward.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely not moved past the accident and the loss of those lives, but I've definitely moved on from my season ending. Obviously, it's still a little bit hard, especially coming back to Eugene and everyone seeing you and talking about how you would have had a chance to win a national championship, and we were so excited to be able to have done that. And so I've definitely moved on from that, but really that was out of my control, and there's so much bigger issues in the world right now that we're facing than basketball. And so I think really just being mindful of that and really just focusing on myself and what I can do right now and not taking this time for granted. I mean, trying to get better, trying to read, spending more time with family and time that I would have never had if I would have gotten drafted and this would have never happened. So I'm appreciative of what I have at the moment and just being happy and healthy.
And I know that when you lose someone, at times, like you hear their voice still, right, in your head. Like they're always with you and they always will be. When you hear Kobe's voice, what is it that resonates about what he meant to you, about how he inspires you going forward?
Yeah, I mean, he means everything. Obviously, I hear his voice every single day. I hear his voice all the time, no matter what I'm doing. It's kind of just that voice of reason that you hear and the tone and kind of the demeanor that he sets through how he's able to articulate and able to talk is something that I will never get out of my head. And so he obviously means the world to me and so does his family still to this day. I mean, I keep in contact with them and talk to them often. And so that's something that I don't take for granted. And I'm really honored to be kind of a part of that.
Yeah, and you did such a wonderful job at his memorial. Here you are with these huge responsibilities. You're speaking to your graduating class. You spoke at his memorial. What was that experience like?
It was a day that don't really remember. There was a lot of ups and downs,
I
a
bet.
lot of emotion, and obviously having to play a top 5 game that same exact day in the Bay Area wasn't easy. I definitely didn't think it was going to be as difficult as it was. But it was a true honor to be able to go up there on stage and be able to kind of articulate and voice exactly what I was thinking and kind of hoping for change and using kind of my platform and voice to do that. And being able to see everyone there was awesome. But obviously coming back to the Bay Area and having to play a game was not easy. And so I think it really tested my character and kind of showed how strong I am and how strong I can be and not back down.
You had an historic game that night, and what have you learned about yourself, I guess, through everything that's happened? All the uncertainty, you thought he would be there forever. He's not in your life. You thought you'd be going for a national championship, and you're not. But you seem to have really, like you said, really tapped into that inner strength. So, what have you learned from this?
I mean, just how strong you have to be and how strong you can be with that group around you. And obviously, I couldn't have done this year without my teammates, my family, my support system. They helped me through more than I could have ever asked for. And so I think just being able to see how strong I am, but also how strong those people around me make me and help me has been something that has really opened my eyes and I really value now, I think, more than ever before.
I think that's something that a lot of people are realizing now, right? Because you're cut off from other people and you really have to focus on your family and those in your immediate circle. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah, I've definitely always tried to make sure that my family's a priority and those people in my circle are a priority. And I think sometimes it's hard with when you're so busy in a season, when you're so busy with so much going on to really make them feel
Mhm.
important and feel like a priority. And so I'm hoping, to kind of use this time to make sure that I can self-reflect and really focus on what's important to me and what's important in my life and kind of use this time to align with that and make sure that I'm giving people the time and making sure that they feel important. So hopefully I'm doing that. Hopefully my family and friends feel that. And if not, I can continue to work on that for sure.
I mean, we're all doing our best in that regard, right? And finally, your message. I'm wondering, what did you tell, or what are you going to tell your fellow students come commencement? Can you give us a sneak peek of that?
Yeah, there was a lot, and kind of the whole message going into that was, there might be things that kind of knock you down, and there might be things that you are looking forward to, but really using the time that you have now to create change. And obviously, everyone's going to be kind of on a different path, moving to new cities, starting a new chapter in their life, and it's really what you do with that that kind of sets you up for the future, and not really letting circumstances dictate how you kind of take on the day. And so. My whole kind of message was like you're the author of your own story and don't let anyone else kind of change that. You believe in yourself and have those people around you that believe in you and you can accomplish anything. And so that was kind of my entire story through it all. And obviously having to reflect on the ups and downs through the season and now kind of starting this new journey, I hope that I'm able to inspire my other classmates just like they inspired me.
I think that was a stroke of genius for them to have you speak because I think you're speaking to them as one of them, and that really, really resonates. That's so powerful. And finally, you told me something on our call yesterday. We had a chance to visit before this about being where your feet are and living in the moment. That was a phrase that you used. Can you sort of leave us with that thought?
Yeah, I mean, I think, especially today, we're always looking towards the future. And I know even I mean, we were talking about a national championship and that was the goal. And then some of that stuff can kind of get taken away from you. And if you're not in the moment and just happy and appreciative of what you have, then you kind of lose focus. And so I think that's so important. And obviously, what I'm doing now, there's so much uncertainty and there's so much time to think about, well, what if there is a season? What if there isn't? And that's really not what's important. It's what you're doing right now with the time that you have and what you're doing in the present moment that's really important and shapes and kind of leads you into the future. And so that's something that I as well am kind of speaking at that commencement and hoping to kind of be able to voice obviously what I've went through and what I'm going through now and how that shaped how I'm trying to be where my feet are every step of the way.
I love it. I love that thought. That is something that literally every single person can relate to right now. Those words are super inspirational. Sabrina, it's been such a blast talking to you. I'm so psyched to see what you do whenever you get a chance. Can't wait, though, most of all, to see your new TikTok. That's going to be a real highlight.
Thank you. Stay tuned. Hopefully it'll be better than my last one.
Bye, Sabrina. Take care.
All right, thank you very
Take
much.
care. All right, and congrats. All right, let's get it
Awesome
back
stuff.
to our fabulous host, Miss Sarah Spain. Hey, Sarah.
Thank you, Hannah. That was awesome. Very much enjoyed the conversation, and I know I was not alone because ESPNW NYC is trending #4 nationally right now, which means there are a lot of you out there that enjoyed that conversation or enjoying the summit. Shout out to Katie Caldwell in British Columbia, who took my tip to just start the day drinking early. Nice shot of her out on a balcony with some wine. Well done. Also, shout out to Brandy Chastain, the legend, who is giving us a quarantine tip. She said, watching ESPNW NYC from my home office, where I want to give my quarantine tip, embracing what I have at my disposal: office chair rollouts and paper plate hamstring curls / adductor abductor. My hashtag CA Thorns are climbing Mount Everest, 500 mountain climbers at a time. We're on a trek to the top. Okay, that's a tip I'm not taking because I am not doing 500 mountain climbers a day until I get to Mount Everest. But shout out to you. That's why you're a legend. Someone I know who just enjoyed that conversation with Sabrina, because not only did she say she's picking up yoga, she talked about mindfulness, she talked about gratitude, all the pillars of our next guest, who's going to talk to us about tools for managing stress and getting unblocked. Not only is she a fantastic energy coach and yoga teacher, but she's my friend and the person that has kept my sanity during quarantine, because I have been doing Zoom yoga classes with Lizzie multiple times a week since day one of this. And if you follow her at Lizzie Cutler, you can join me. Sabrina, we're going to get you. We're going to get you into our class, whether it's the Divas theme or Stevie Wonder, the 420 theme, whatever it is. The music is always good, and you're going to want to be there. So let's throw it out to my girl, Lizzie Cutler.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Hey, guys. So I help people change the way they respond to stress. ESPNW, it is an honor and a pleasure to be here. Guys, when you can't change the stressor, can't quit your job, you're not going to walk out on your family, and you're not ready to really change your life, you can still change the way your body is responding physically, mentally, and emotionally to stress. And that's what I'm here to give you tips on. So first, we're going to start by kind of understanding and breaking down what stress is. For the sake of this little convo, I want you to imagine that this is a funnel. Okay, so you've got your physical body. You also have an energetic body. This is going to be a little map for your energetic body. When a baby is born, when we're little, the funnel's totally open. Energy can flow really easily. What happens is, as we grow up, as we are little kids, we hear adults around us saying things to us, but we have no ability to discern fact from fiction. So we'll hear things like, people don't change, or if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. Whether it's from a parent, a teacher, someone on TV, all of those facts are getting stored like chunks of gravel in that funnel. So now your energy isn't flowing really easily anymore. It's getting kind of like chunked around. It's getting stuck. It's that feeling of being stuck. Well, the universe always says yes. So when the universe is saying yes to all of those thoughts and all those things you thought were facts, then we feel stressed because the programmed thoughts are no longer lining up with what your soul really wants and is really truly here to do. The first thing you've got to do here is find what's not working. So you've got to start noticing what the programming is so that you can then upgrade the software. The way you do that is you start noticing physically and emotionally what's coming up. Now is the perfect time to do it because everyone's issues are up in this amazing quarantine that we're in. So for me, physically, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. My palms get super sweaty. My heart drops into my gut. And I feel that like I've lost all the blood in my head, right? If you start noticing when those things are happening, you'll see patterns come up. Once you see what it is, once you know what the triggers are, then you can start doing things about it. The first thing you want to do about it is accept it. Just let it be. without any judgment, without any shame. Try not to get down in that shame spiral. Try just to accept that this is a new side of you that you may or may not have seen before. It's also really important here to treat yourself kindly. So if a friend were sitting here telling you all these new things that she's feeling and discovering about herself, you wouldn't be telling her what she should be feeling. You would be telling her it's probably not that big a deal. You would also maybe tell her to get off those things on Instagram and social media that are triggering her, especially in moments like this, in moments of a quarantine. I feel like we're all in our caves, right? Like our homes are our little caves and the walls are funhouse mirrors. So every issue you've ever had, there's no longer the outlet and the distractions to kind of let the lid off of that pressure. So it's all just being forced on us in this crazy way right now. And we're seeing all of our good, bad, and ugly. For a lot of us, there are good days, and then there are days where we absolutely hit concrete. Well, my third piece of advice here is that when you hit concrete, just take a breath. If you need to cry, sit on your bedroom floor, grab a towel, and cry as hard as you can possibly cry until it's all out. Sometimes I'll set a timer on my phone. I'll give myself 15 minutes to cry everything out. I even have a playlist that helps me get there if I'm not crying hard enough. So I'll give myself that set amount of time. And then at the end of that, I have to start digging my way out. So I make the commitment to myself that after a set amount of time, I'm going to start fighting my way out. Now, the key here is to have tools on hand. When you're in those bottom barrel depths of despair, that's not the time to come up with new tools. So I literally have a list. It's my self-care checklist, and I have it written down. And I have friends that I reach out to. I have Netflix specials that I save. I save the comedy specials for when I'm in a major funk. I have fun playlists that make me dance. I get outside, get some sunshine on my skin. I will literally go and hug a tree. Getting into nature is so key, especially for those of us living in dense cities. Go to a park, plant your feet in the ground, and wrap your arms around a tree. It will feel amazing, and it's okay to look crazy. We're all just going to look crazy together in this world. When it comes to reaching out to friends, huge suggestion here, find like a self-care buddy in all of this and let them know what you need. So sometimes reaching out to friends when you're hitting bottom can be a little bit more frustrating than enlightening, because a lot of times we want to help each other. We want to solve the problem for somebody else. And really all we want is what I call the screw that guy conversation, right? Don't fix the problem. Don't tell me devil's advocate. Don't tell me how I can see it in a different way. Just screw that guy with me and move on, right? I want to be right for these 20 minutes. And maybe in 20 minutes, help me process it out and help me figure out the other side of the game. Maybe it happens in a week. Maybe it doesn't happen for a month. I'm not going to judge where I am right now, specifically in quarantine. I'm not going to judge where I am. I'm going to actually tell somebody how they can help me and know that they're going to show up for me in that way. And I'm going to do the same for somebody else. So have that person. I also have a friend who has the most amazing stories that always make me laugh. This is a key in fake it till you make it. If you think about smiling, your body is instantly going to start releasing those happier hormones. So fake it till you make it. That's why the Netflix comedy specials are so clutch here. Go for something that's going to make you laugh. Have podcasts that you know make you laugh. Have it all lined up so that you can jump in and start climbing your way out of that stress hole. Going back to kind of the people don't change, and if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. The universe only knows how to say yes to us. So whatever we're focusing on, that's what's going to keep growing. So that old programming in your body, even though you might have a mantra that people change and everybody is supportive of you, if the background noise is that people don't change, that's what you're going to keep experiencing. The universe will serve it up for you on a silver platter and show you more of that. So by noticing what it is, by accepting it, by dealing with it when you're hitting bottom and then slowly climbing your way out, let's say like a -10 is when you're sitting on your bedroom floor. You want to wait until you're at like a 7, till you start doing the actual work. But you want to change something. You want to change some way that you're responding to this stress in order to create the lasting change. The first thing I always suggest doing, do something nice for somebody else. Remember that Friends episode with Phoebe where she can't find a selfless act? Do a selfless act. It will feel good for you. It will serve you as much as it's serving somebody else. So step one is do something kind for somebody else. Dig into your self-care checklist. And then if you can, as best you can, find gratitude that this is your issue. Okay, this is the low-hanging fruit, as I call it, with gratitude. Search for the stuff that you can find easiest. You're trying to connect to the feeling of gratitude so that the universe will say, okay, babe, here's a little more of that gratitude and bring you more of it. So find gratitude for whatever the issue is, right? For me, it's that I live alone and it can get really isolating and really quiet and really lonely. So I'll sit on my floor, I'll have my pity party, I'll cry about it. I won't judge myself for it. I'll start climbing my way out, and then I find gratitude that in a world that we're living in right now, my biggest issue is that I'm living alone, right? It's a really good place to be. And once I can get to that place and start focusing on gratitude and feel it in my heart, feel it literally in the center of my chest, then I can start pulling out way faster. So it's about finding gratitude that this is your issue. Now we're going to go into a meditation. I'm going to lead you guys through a 10-minute meditation. And in this meditation, I'm going to walk you through these steps of gratitude. Remember, the universe always says yes. So we're going to try to focus on the feeling that you're trying to create more of. I'm going to give you little clues and cues that are going to help turn that emotion on. Use the story to get to the emotion. That's the key. You're using any story that comes up to get to the emotion. A lot of times we'll do these meditations and I'll hear people say like, well, why was I thinking about this? And why is my head going here? And why am I going there? It doesn't matter. Whatever pops into your head to get you into gratitude is where you want to be. Then we're going to start to look forward. We're going to jump forward to where you want to be 6 months from today, 12 months from today. I totally understand that in quarantine, it's hard to imagine, but just pretend like this isn't happening. In a perfect world, what is it that you want to bring in next? So much of our stress is acknowledging where we are versus where we want to be or thought we would be. So again, letting all of that judgment go, now is your chance to actually manifest it and create it. By focusing on things that you've already created, all that you already have to be grateful for, whether it's the low-hanging fruit that my eyes work and I have a thermostat to turn on and off and a couch to lay on to watch Bravo, or something more, bigger depths of soul. You love your children and your job is so amazing and fulfilling and you get to help people in the world and you're so connected and you're having one of those like floating on air days. Great. It doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's about getting to the story and getting to the feeling so that you then can create more of it. Now, when we're thinking about the future thing, this thing that you want to create next, the idea is if you've already created so much abundance in your life now, surely you can do it again. So when you're thinking about what it is that you want to create more of, whether it's more money, more abundance, more love, a lot of times it's easier to focus on the story and the narrative than to get right to the emotion. So if you're looking for a new job, if you want to create more money, if you want to create a new person to be dating, it's not about this thing. It's about the feeling that you feel like is maybe missing or lacking in your life right now. We're going to get to that feeling. So if it's money, you might be looking for stability or abundance. If it's love or a partner in your life, it's about connection and compassion and giving and that kind of feeling. So when you're thinking about those things, the next step that I usually hear from people is my head is spinning with all of the thoughts, all the fears, all the doubts about why I can or cannot have that thing. I totally get it. Acknowledge them, honor them, see them, accept them, and then let them go. Okay, so as we're going through this meditation, you're going to see them, accept them, and then just gently shove them to the side. They don't apply. That's old programming. We're now upgrading your software like you're plugging in your phone and getting a software upgrade. Okay, I'm going to record this meditation for us. It's going to be posted on my website so that you can download just the meditation. Listen whenever you want. The more you do it, the more will come to you. Remember, more is more here. You're going to fake it till you make it. The universe will say yes. So that being said, take a nice big deep breath in and let yourself get as comfortable as you possibly can. Lay down on your couch. If you want to sit up, that's great. Take a really big, deep breath in. And exhaling, let it all go. And again, big, full, deep breath in. Exhaling, let it go. And one more big, full, deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Out 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Out 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Out 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Let that breath go. Keeping your eyes closed. Bring all of your awareness to your heart center. Might help to bring your hand to your heart, but see if you can feel your heart beating from the inside. And once you've connected to your heartbeat, think of someone in your world who you're grateful for. It might be a person, it might be your pet. Remember, it's not about the story. Think of someone, whoever pops into your head first. Stay connected to your heart center and notice what it feels like when you look into their eyes. Notice what it feels like when you see them really happy. And what does it feel like in your heart center to hear them laugh or to watch them play? Hold on to that feeling. Notice what it feels like to experience gratitude for another being. What does that feel like in your heart? And now add to that feeling. Notice something in your physical body that you feel grateful for in this moment. Notice all the different things that are working exactly as they're designed to work. Now, holding your awareness at your heart center, find gratitude. What does it feel like to be grateful for your health? Stay focused on feeling grateful for how healthy you are. And add to it one more time. Anything in your world, a person, a place, a memory, a moment, something in your world that you feel grateful for in this moment. The first thing that pops into your head. What are you grateful for, and what does it feel like to experience gratitude? Hold on to the gratitude. Just take a moment to acknowledge all that you have created. The people in your life, your own physical health and ability, the memories, the moments. Holding on to all that you've already created. Think about how you want to feel at the end of this year, at the end of next year. Think about what it is that you're ready to create more of. What are you ready to let go of? What are you bringing in? What are you going to experience next? Watch the story play out in your head. And then start to think about what that story is actually trying to create. What it is that you want to experience, what it is that you want to feel. More abundance, more love, more connection. Once you've got that feeling, keeping your eyes closed, I want you to keep your awareness at your heart center and imagine that you're just about to cross the finish line to achieving that goal. What does it feel like to see it out in front of you? To know that you're there? What does it feel like in your heart? What does it feel like physically in your chest? And now cross that finish line. You've done it. It's here. How does that feel? Stay focused on it. As any thoughts come up, acknowledge them, honor them, let them go. Come back to the feeling of the accomplishment, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And now cruise forward a little bit. What does it feel like a month from then? After you've crossed the finish line, 1 month later, what does it feel like a month later, a year later, to have that a part of your normal life? Hold on to that feeling and let it spread throughout your body. Let it reach down into the soles of your feet. Let it reach out through your hands. Let it reach up through the top crown of your head. Let it push out in front of you and back behind you, and let yourself be surrounded in that love, that abundance, the connection, the vulnerability. Bringing your awareness to your heart center, holding here, feel your heart beating in your chest, and set the intention here to stay focused on this feeling as much of your day as you possibly can. And to go do something kind for someone else today and spread that love. Take a big, full, deep breath in. Exhaling, let it all go. And gently blink open your eyes. Please remember, wherever you are, mentally, physically, spiritually, you are exactly where you're meant to be. Thank you so much for having me. Namaste.
Oh, I love it. I've gone through that many times with my girl Lizzie, and I'll tell you, some of the big pivots in my life toward gratitude and happiness and joy and being able to find all those good things have come from adding you to my life. So hopefully lots of people watching will join us in your butt-kicking power yoga with a little bit of that meditation at the end now that they've gotten to know you too. Thanks so much, Lizzie.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right, everybody, you're probably in your meditative, kind of vibes now, but we need to get back up because Mina Kimes, Katie Nolan are coming up in just a couple minutes. But first, we are going to hear from our fearless leader. He is the president of ESPN, the co-chairman of Disney Media Networks, a rescue dog champion, and a former Cornell Big Red footballer. Let's go Red. Here's Jimmy Pitero.
Thank you all for joining us today. As others have called out, this was supposed to be a day where 350 of you would join us in person in New York City. So to say that this reception and the over 10,000 of you attending has exceeded our expectations would be an understatement. We're thrilled to bring this event and this very important content to a much larger group. The way ESPN and our colleagues around the sports industry have stepped up over the past 2 months has been an incredible thing to watch. And in my opinion, when the story is written, we'll all look back on this period of time with a ton of pride. And the espnW Summit will have its own chapter in that story. The power and importance of this summit over the years has been awesome. And I'd argue it's more important than ever right now. I hear from so many of you each year, both internally and externally across the industry, and the responses are always so rewarding for us. This event drives incredibly important conversations and has helped to build and nurture a fantastic community of women in sports. I've had the opportunity to speak several times at the event on the West Coast, and the energy I've felt has been off the charts great. I really do consider it a privilege to be a part of this event, and I know so many of you feel the same way. And I love the resiliency here. I'm so happy we could still bring this community together today virtually, and that's a testament to the incredibly talented team we have behind the scenes. It's also because of all the work we've done to keep sports fans engaged during this time. The efforts we've made and the best practices we've acquired through, for example, the WNBA and NFL drafts have proven invaluable in terms of us being able to do something like this today and do it well. In past summits, I've spoken to the group about our core priorities at ESPN, and at the top of our list is audience expansion. And that, of course, includes driving growth with our female audience. We're making progress here, and our team is proud of certain advancements we've made, like, for example, The Last Dance, where we saw females making up 34% of this audience, and the NFL Draft, where ESPN and ABC reached 4.4 million more female viewers than last year, accounting for nearly 70% of our reach growth. However, we also know we have a ton of work to do here, and this summit and the folks participating are crucial to that initiative. Diversity is so important to us at ESPN. We know that we can't expand our audience without having an employee population across all levels, both in front of and behind the camera, that represents these audiences we're trying to serve. And like our audience expansion, we're making progress here, and it fills me with pride to see so many of our standout female talent with you all here today. I'd like to personally thank our execs and talent for stepping up and making this event happen. It means a lot to all of us at ESPN, and I know it means a lot to our industry as a whole. Enjoy the summit, please be well, and stay active.
Thank you to Jimmy. One of the things I love about Jimmy, other than the rescue dogs and the fact that he's my boss, is his wife, Jean Louisa Kelly, is a successful actress. She's actually going to be in an upcoming Top Gun movie, and I've spoken to him about challenging himself to move and change their lifestyle to help her career too. So shout out to men who are great allies for powerful, successful women. Thanks for that message, Jimmy. Appreciate it. Speaking of powerful, successful women, I got two coming this way to join me, two of my favorites here at the company who I love working with, and I can guarantee this will be a great conversation because Katie's already dancing. So that's a good start. And Mina, once again, looks like she works at a rental car place with the short sleeve button down, which is something she's heard before.
Katie didn't get the memo, I guess.
I
didn't.
Yeah, we're bringing the sunshine. She is Mina Kimes, senior writer, podcast host, and commenter at ESPN, the busiest woman in the biz, mom to the famous dog Lenny and the world's worst DMX impersonator. I'm definitely not going to have her do that today. Also, Katie Nolan, host of ESPN's Always Late with Katie Nolan, new mother to a fur baby in Myrtle, who is one of the cutest puppies I've ever seen. And she was a dance minor in college, and yet somehow I don't think I've ever seen her actually do like a real dance. So we're going to have to work on that at the next party slash summit slash
wanting, Sarah.
Wedding. That's true.
Everything.
That's true. Let's take a look at what happens when the three of us get put together in a quote unquote professional setting, like on the show Highly Questionable.
And it's really loud. It was kind of nicer last week when it was just the three of us.
Yeah, I feel like it's like shrill. Like it's just like it's hard to listen to.
I felt loud during that. I felt self-conscious. I did. I felt like I was super loud.
We need a chance to talk.
Way too much energy. Kind of
taking our ideas and repeating them.
Yeah.
Dan, could you smile more?
Yeah. We're not trying to be sexist. Your voice just is a little bit.
That's just your voice.
Don't bring gender into it.
Your voice.
No.
I mean, sound good talking about
I like
sports.
plenty of other guys.
I love men.
Specifically just talking
Nobody
about
loves
Dan.
men more than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Izzy's great. Michael Jr. is great. Foxworth is great.
I'm a daughter of a father, you know?
I have plenty of male friends.
Right.
I have 3 male dogs, and I love all of them, just like if they were girl dogs.
We're allies.
Okay, so yeah, that's the kind of absurdity you can expect, but also a very nice Dan Le Batard just taking it all. Mina, before we get to that clip, which we turned into a Dan Le Batard roast, maybe tell people a bit about your background and how you even got to ESPN.
Sure, yeah. I've been at ESPN now for 6 years, which is crazy. Before that, I was a business journalist for 7 years or so. While being a rabid football fan, I wrote investigative stories about Wall Street and finance, and ESPN reached out to me in 2014 because I had written a personal essay about football and mostly tweeted dumb football memes, and they saw that I was interested in it and just asked me if I'd be interested in making the jump from business to sports as a writer. So when I joined the company, I was a features writer for ESPN, the magazine, and a columnist. Did that for a couple of years before I started taking on radio, podcasting, and now television too.
Yeah, a Yale grad, a ping pong champ who went more of a straightforward path and then now has found herself in the muck with us in the sports world and having a lot of fun with it. Katie, how about you? You're a more recent addition to the worldwide leader. How'd you get here?
What a weird path I took. I graduated in 2009, majored in PR, like you said, minored in dance. What up, Doris? And I couldn't get a job doing what I was supposed to do, and so I got a bunch of odd jobs, ended up bartending, but what I really wanted to do was like write I wanted to be like a comedy writer on a late night show. So then I started a blog, and then that blog turned into a website asking me to do daily videos for them, which I did for 2 years, which were just so awful, but probably taught me how to do a couple things that I didn't really notice at the time. And then Fox Sports was launching a competitor to ESPN, and they called me and asked if I was would be interested in joining their network, which I was like, I don't think you are calling the right person because I don't have any experience. But they didn't seem to care, which was pretty sweet, and took a chance on me. And I was on a show with Regis Philbin and 75 other people called Crowd Goes Wild. And I was at Fox for 3 years where I launched my own show called Garbage Time. And then when my contract was up, I'd been chatting with Connor Schell, who I think we all know and love, who works here at ESPN. And he was like, we want to bring you in. And so they did that. And I am here now.
That was speed read, but you did it well. By the way, did you
tell the story enough times?
Yeah, I guess.
What?
Did you do your own makeup today? Because you look
Yeah,
gorgeous.
I did. Listen, here's the thing. When you played that clip, I was like, man, remember hair and makeup? Remember when we...
No!
That was
You're
exactly
so
what I
bad,
was thinking. Yes. We looked so good.
You look fantastic. You look great.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
Speaking of that clip, let's go behind the scenes. And Mina, I want you to sort of explain to people how that show is taped and how we could come across sort of an improv roast of Dan and it would end up on television.
Sure, yeah. So Highly Questionable is similar to some of our programming. Now we end up talking about, the same sports stories and giving takes on them, but it's also wildly dissimilar in that we watch videos of dogs and babies falling on each other. And also, a lot of our conversation is included in the show. It's almost like kind of breaking the fourth wall. It's an edited show, so the editors or the producers will include kind of these behind-the-scenes moments that you don't normally get to see. So I think on that particular day, this is when we sort of switched to doing the show remotely, when we realized kind of all three of us were on. I don't even remember how the riff started. I know I just watched it, but it was kind of one of those ones where we're all like, okay, we're all doing this riff and we're going to commit to it. And then again, because of the show's format, they included it and put it on television.
Yeah, and Katie, it went viral quick, and it still pops into my social media mentions almost once a day with someone new discovering it. Why do you think it was such a hit?
Well, first of all, that might be my fault, the fact that it keeps popping up, because I pinned it. It's at the top of my Twitter. And so whenever somebody's like, who is this woman? That's what they see, so they think it's new. But yeah, I think it was just a moment, like to go back to what Mina was saying, the fact that the show's edited really allows you to try stuff because you know that if it doesn't work, they're just going to cut it out because it wasn't good. So like for me, the experience was like knowing, I think like Mina said something about Dan being like talking too much, and there was like we like went back and forth on that for a little, and then there was this moment of quiet where I was like, is this where we're going? Because sometimes I'm an idiot and I can't tell if that's where we're going. So I was like, we're going this way? So I tossed out the most basic, obvious insult or thing that people say to women that they don't realize sometimes is completely passive aggressive, like you should smile more. And then I think once that happened, it was like the trigger sentence for all of us to be like, oh, I got an arsenal of things I hear all the time. And it was just, it's awesome to be able to air that out. And the reason that I think it went viral or whatever, is just because it was on sports TV. It was women outnumbering men, which already is a rarity. And Dan was clearly in on the joke, not offended by it. And it was just like us. I mean, that's why when I tweeted it, I wrote that it wasn't scripted, because I'm like, we all just have that many of those things in the back of our mind all the time, that we all could just produce one on top of another without any repetition, which was wild. And so I think people were just like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff you guys hear all the time. It is also fun watching people react to it, being like, would this work if this were 3 men doing this to a woman? Like, hello, congratulations, you completely missed the point. Welcome to parody.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. You're right. I think it's the idea that all those things that are usually turned on us were turned on him instead. And to peel back the layers a little bit more, I mean, I think we've all been a part of group conversations, text threads, DMs with other women in the industry, sort of sharing conversations about that, whether it's everyone hates your voice for no reason or talks about what you look like or pinpoints things about yourself you didn't even know you were supposed to be insecure about. I apparently should be really worried about my shoulders. I played professional
look like the
football,
Joker.
according to people.
The edges of my nose, my lips go up.
I didn't even know there was anything wrong with it until the internet told me. Also,
what's
my
crazy
laugh.
too, I don't know if this has happened to you guys, but what's crazy is when you have something you've always been insecure about and nobody calls you out on that, and you're like, oh, so that thing isn't bad. But apparently my mouth is shaped weird, and I should think about that every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I actually got my nose broken in field hockey, and the number of people have accused me of getting a nose job. I'm like, I don't know what you think I was going for if you think this was intentional. Katie, you know, one of the things that comes up there too is a real confidence and acceptance of who we are, and feeling comfortable enough on screen now to own the things that we're insecure about and to play with each other. There's a lot of trust on that show. For instance, me introducing Mina and making fun of her shirt. People who don't know us are like, that was rude. But Mina is, you know, part of the fun, and she's willing to play along just like the rest of us. Being a comedian at heart, that might be a little bit more natural for you. But when you got into sports, did you feel like it took a little bit of time to be authentically yourself and be in those situations where you could play around and take it and give it?
It's a good question, but my answer to it's kind of probably not what you would expect. I think that honestly doing that period of my life where I was just 2 years isolated in my apartment, ironic now, just making videos by myself every single day, I think not consciously, but that's where I learned, like, okay, this is what I sound like. This is how I'm authentic. When I'm on camera, this is what my voice sounds like. Because I think everybody, once you turn a camera on yourself, originally you start by being like, hello, I am Katie Nolan. And you think you're supposed to put on this thing because it's just the way your body reacts. Your natural reaction is to react unnaturally. So after having to do it for so long, you get to a point where you're like, I don't feel like putting that voice on today. And then you see that, like, oh, that kind of works. And so I think those 2 years really helped me find my voice. Again, not consciously. I wasn't like, I'm gonna find my voice. I just kind of stumbled into, like, okay, this is what I do. And then by the time I got to Fox, you know, they weren't asking me to do anything that didn't fit with what I do, because there was such a long, like, I don't know, there was this huge wealth of videos showing exactly what I'm good at. So it was like nobody ever said, do you want to be a sideline reporter? Because I was like, clearly I don't know how to do that. I don't have any experience doing that. This is what I do. And so I've been very lucky to have, you know, the companies I've worked for understand what it is I'm going for. But yeah, even still, I mean, between the two companies, you have to adjust to, like, what you can say and what you can't say. You have to meet the people and see, you know, who you have that rapport with, because the worst thing, Sarah, I bet you've experienced this in your life, is where you joke with somebody and they're not on the same page as you, and you come off as maybe looking a little mean. But yeah, I think, like, it helped that I knew a bunch of you guys and were fans of yours before I got here. And honestly, the number one thing I was most excited about with working at ESPN was just how many people, and especially women, there were that worked here that I was going to get to work with and call my colleagues. I'm not just saying that because you're here, but it was just like, I know that these people are going to get it, and I know that we can make something really cool. So it's tough sometimes in sports, and also, you know, being a lady, but to want to always do comedy and funny stuff first. But you know, I've been able to do it I've been very grateful to everybody who's allowed me to do it. And like, shout out Dan Le Batard for building a community of people and an audience who understands what you're going for and doesn't criticize you for not breaking down, you know, a defense. Though Mina can do that better than anybody I know.
Yeah, I do think there's that Le Batard family of shows that kind of lets you in on personality as much as insight and analysis has been huge for a lot of people at the company. And I personally, despite having jobs all over the company where I thought I was being authentic, found that there was a whole nother level of relaxation and authenticity that I could bring to the camera once I became a part of that family. And Mina, I know that you came over, and because you're brilliant and you're putting together these long form profiles of people, or you're breaking down a defense, there is this very goofy part of you. And when you first started doing something like Around the Horn, you would send me messages like, oh, how do you do this? Or how do you deal with this? And so I know for you, maybe it wasn't quite as organic and easy as maybe Katie in discovering who you were and how you could be that on camera authentically.
Yeah, for me, the biggest challenge in transitioning to sort of an opinionator analyst role on television in particular was finding the confidence in the performance side of things. I have not ever, but once I started doing it, I was already really confident, quite frankly, in my knowledge of sports, football in particular. I had a lot of faith in the work I had done. It's something I've been a passionate football fan my entire life. Before ESPN hired me, I was spending all my free time lurking on NFL message boards and like extremely nerdy things that I hope no one ever finds. So once we started doing these, I wasn't afraid of, getting things wrong, although you guys know if we get a single thing wrong, we will hear it to no end. I was afraid of being weird and unpolished and not pretty and not funny TV stuff. And I think a big part of my, development in that capacity at ESPN has been becoming more confident, not in that I am any of those things, but that what I bring to the table is enough. And that can be really difficult, especially when in the past, a lot of the women we've seen in the roles we currently occupy have been so polished and so different, right? And so I think right now we're seeing a greater diversity of styles and approaches and looks and tones than ever before. And I think that's really neat, and it makes me much more confident in that role, at least more confident than I was a couple years ago.
It's so funny, Mina, because I too remember you texting me I feel like when you first started doing Le Batard or something, and you being like, was that okay? Like, was I, I don't like the sound of my laugh, and I don't like this, and I just don't think I'm doing it right. And like, I don't know if you were just like needing a compliment or support, but you were like complimenting me and being like, well, you can do it. And I was just like, is this girl, like, does she realize what she has?
Delusional?
Like,
yeah.
she's so good, and she's so uniquely likable and like brilliant. And I'm like, I can't do, if you are good at the stuff that I do, like old Katie would have felt like, well, then what the hell am I here for if Mina can do what I do and also all this other stuff that I can't do? But like the thing that, these W conferences and a lot of like networking with women has taught me is like, now I see you lap me and I'm like, go, Mina. Like, let's go. I love her. Instead of feeling like, wait a second. Can you slow down so that I can have a job still? I'm just like super happy for you, but I hope that you'd like take a minute to reflect. I know you're going to get very uncomfortable with me saying this, but like you've like grown into your skin that like in a way that is so awesome to watch that I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree with all of that. I agree with all of that, but I also think, to your point, Katie, years ago we would have been convinced there was only room for one. And so Mina lapping us at everything and all the other stuff she does would have been like, oh, well, we're out. And instead it's like, wait a minute, who made that rule? That's not a rule. We can all be
somebody
here.
out there needs a subpar Mina Kimes, and I'm going to be there for that person.
Well, I want to just address what you just said, Sarah, because I think it's so important. We're constantly compared, right? Which is insane because we do wildly different things. Like, like our goals, our skills, I think the roles we occupy are wildly different. I should be compared to Dominique Foxworth, not you guys. I love Dominique. He's like my best friend.
But Mina, he's a man.
Yeah, and that's my point. It's so transparent. Like when they say, well, I'd rather have, Katie than Mina or Sarah than Katie or whatever. We should be together. Like we should not be substituting for each other. And I think people fall into that trap all the time.
Yeah, it's a great point. And, hearing all those things and reflect back to the clip from HQ, all those things that came so easily to us, it's because they've been sort of immersed in society. We have to push past them and shine a spotlight on them so that they don't have the power that they do. And one of the things that, Katie, you've done on your show Always Late is to put together a couple sketches about the secret society of women where we do shine a spotlight on some of that BS and hope that people realize how absurd it is. So here's a little clip from, I think this was the second sketch about the secret society of women.
Hey, what's up? Oh, I was on TV today giving some takes and my mentions are a tire fire.
Hey, why don't you put this on?
Oh, is there a meeting today?
No, but I think I got something that's gonna cheer you up.
Maybe Chillaxin 694203211 has a point.
He doesn't. Mina, welcome to the clubhouse.
What is this?
It's like a she shed for all the ladies in sports media. They used to have them in the basement of the ESPN zones, apparently, but those are, RIP. So they're building new ones. Come here, I'll show you around. So you can just come up here and hang out, but there's also a ton of useful stuff. Like, for example, the research department.
What do they do?
Jarvis Landry. Nope. Well, right now, they're going through social media comments to try to find if there is a person in sports that a woman can interview without being accused of sleeping with them.
Huh.
DeAndre Hopkins.
I doubt it.
I mean, nope.
Come on.
Andy Reid.
That's a good one. I'm not seeing anything.
I think we found him.
No.
Are we done?
Sorry. Doesn't work.
Are you kidding me? Could we get another board? Sorry, guys. Let's go.
Highly encourage people to go online and find the first secret society, which was actually filmed at our ESPNW summit in Southern California, and then that second sketch as well. Katie, why is it that people get such a kick out of seeing us just articulate these things that suck in real life but are funny when you skewer them?
I have no idea. I think it's probably just that, there are people who do understand that we all do different things, and seeing us all together in the same room making jokes and clearly connecting on a level about something that we all experience is the Avengers. It's whoa, all my favorites in one room. It's why it was so important to me that we could get people from other networks, like you saw Colleen Wolfe from NFL Network, because just I wanted to make sure we're not just saying this only happens to people at ESPN. We all talk about this stuff all the time. And the idea came from a bunch of years ago. I don't remember why, but Sarah, I think you were somebody accused us of being something sports girls. And then we all, all these women got involved in this tweet thread about our meetings that we have and how we plan to destroy men and take over. And then, once I got my own show and then I got to ESPN where A, I had access to so many women that I knew would be interested in something like this, and B, had the budget to be I'm going to write a sketch, and they would let me make it. I was I'm going to try to write this. Writing those was the most stressful thing I've written because you have to walk this really weird line of you don't want the whole premise of it to be poor us. You have to empower yourself by making fun of it, but you also don't want to, skim any of it off and take it easy and just to make people comfortable. We did take out I wrote a lot of wiki feet jokes that did not make it.
Yeah, I think that's for the best. I don't think we need to shine a spotlight on that
and
remind
felt
anybody
to me,
about it.
In the first one, there was a joke, a secret was revealed that Doris Burke actually started WikiFeet and that we need to submit our pictures to her so that we could appear to be sexualized in a weird way that actually doesn't sexualize us. It's whatever, it's deep. But yeah, I think they're just a really fun thing that's hey, this is our experience. And we're not crying about it, and we're not asking you to pick up your pitchforks and defend us. We're just this is what happens.
Just having fun with
fun
it.
way to
which,
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think is what we've all been doing is kind of having fun with the old ways and ushering people into the new ways. I wish we could talk even longer. As always, we've gone over. And I wish I could ask you for your quarantine tips, but we'll have to stick around. You can tweet them to me along with everyone else, hashtag ESPNW NYC. Give me your quarantine tips, ladies, and I'll say them later in the show. Thanks so much for giving us some time. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love those girls. I love talking about it, honestly, too, the things that we all have to deal with because it's true. And the more we just shine a light on it, the easier it gets for everybody coming up behind us to deal with the same things. Speaking of, the next person joining us has had to deal with all the same stuff and then some. She is a SportsCenter anchor, the owner of a record deal for about 5 minutes when she was in her late teens. She is the singer of such behind-the-scenes SportsCenter hits as I Retouch Myself, Ease. And she is a hashtag girl mom, a long-suffering Atlanta sports fan, Elle Duncan. Let's take a look at the clip that Elle put together after Kobe Bryant's death, her Curled Dad essay.
It's likely that you're hearing many personal anecdotes about Kobe Bryant, so here's mine. I met Kobe one time, backstage at an event for ESPN in New York, and I saw him and I thought, oh my gosh, that's Kobe. I gotta get a picture for the gram. That's the picture. I didn't get it for a few minutes because as I approached him, he immediately commented on my rather large 8-month pregnant belly. How are you? How close are you? What are you having? A girl, I said, and then he high-fived me. Girls are the best. I asked him for advice on raising girls, seeing as though he quite famously had 3 at the time. And he said, just be grateful that you've been given that gift because girls are amazing. His 3rd daughter, Bianca, was about 1.5 years old at the time, so I asked if he wanted more children. And he said that his wife, Vanessa, really wanted to try again for a boy, but was sort of jokingly concerned that it would be another girl. And I was like, 4 girls, are you joking? Like, what would you think? How would you feel? And without hesitation, he said, I would have 5 more girls if I could. I'm a girl dad. When it came to sports, he said that his oldest daughter was an accomplished volleyball player and that the youngest was a toddler, so TBD. But that middle one, he said, that middle one was a monster. She's a beast. She's better than I was at her age. She's got it. That middle one, of course, was Gigi. When I reflect on this tragedy and that half an hour that I spent with Kobe Bryant 2 years ago, I suppose that the only small source of comfort for me is knowing that he died doing what he loved the most, being a dad, being a girl dad.
Well, now that we're all crying again, I've watched that many times and I cry every time. We'll get back to that essay and how you felt so comfortable being vulnerable, letting your emotions show, because that takes time and it takes practice, being that comfortable. I want to look back at the jobs that you had that got you to be that comfortable. Elle Duncan, take us back in time. I know you've had a lot of them, so not every job you've ever had, but some of the notable ones.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Sarah. I had a record deal for about 5 minutes. I was a failed actress who moved to LA for pilot season and ran out of money about 4 months in, so I moved back. Went to school for about a year, dropped out because I got a job doing sports radio as an intern. I then started doing hip-hop radio in Atlanta, at which point I secured a job doing sideline reporting for the Atlanta Hawks in the arena. I had a show on the Gospel Music Channel, even though I didn't know anything about gospel music. I worked for Comcast Sports covering football. I then did traffic on the news, local news in Atlanta, before eventually getting a job at a regional sports network in Boston, and then 2.5 years later landed at ESPN.
I love your story because it's the only one that's even close to as weird as mine, which also involved moving to LA to try to be an actress and at one point wanting to be a singer and all these creative things. And I'm curious, you know, you certainly found some ways to be creative, to touch on music in your job at ESPN. One of those was with those great videos you do, your walk-up music for your SportsCenter days where you sing new songs that you've changed the words to or otherwise. How important is it to you to still get to scratch that itch a little bit in addition to sort of providing news and the sports world?
Yeah, so music has sort of always permeated my life. It's literally one of the most important things to me. And so the opportunity to kind of bring a little bit of my passions for singing incessantly and my love of music and really the diverse catalog that I have when it comes to music was just cool. I had just got to SportsCenter and I was talking with some some of the social people there about how, you know, everyone kind of has their thing on social and how you sort of show your personality online. And I thought to myself, well, there's no better way to do it than something that I do all day long, which is walk around and annoy everyone with my tunes. So yeah, it was cool to kind of do it that way. I was new. I'm not sure that all of my anchors at the time knew how to respond or react to that. They're like, who is this girl and why is she doing all of this? But I thought it was important to establish right away that I was always going to authentically be myself. And anyone that knows me knows that that is 100% me.
Yeah, I love watching them. The little duet with Linda Cohn is especially enjoyable in one of them. Yeah, so I want to talk about a lot of the successes, right? You moved around a lot, but at each place you were elevating and finding the next success and grabbing onto what was next for you, shining in so many different outlets. And you established yourself in Atlanta as super popular, winning awards, landing on all the IT lists. And then there was a mistake you made that you thought might be the end of your career. I'm thankful to you to be willing to talk about it and also sort of share what it feels like to feel like you're at the bottom and how you worked your way out.
Absolutely. I like to talk about it because, again, I think there is this idea that, we're perfect or you have to do everything the right way, and if not, your career will be over. And I certainly found myself there. I had started working in Atlanta at 20 years old, so I was very aware and cognizant of reputation and what that meant. And so my reputation was incredibly important to me with my colleagues and with the public as well. And I always did the right thing, I thought. I always tried to treat people fair. And when I was 30 years old, right, I had been doing this for 10 years. When I was 30 years old, I'd actually gotten honored that night from the Atlanta Dream for being one of the most inspiring women in Atlanta. And I went to like a little bit of an after party, if you will, sort of celebrating with some friends, had a couple of drinks, left that night, was maybe a mile and a half from my home, and saw the blue lights. And I thought to myself, oh, well, I'm fine. You know, I mean, it's Georgia. Everyone is well aware that in Georgia they do not play, right? Like there is a Georgia State Patrol on every corner in this particular area. They don't play with drinking and driving, and neither did I, right? And this is before the time of Uber. And so I thought I was fine, you know, and the police officer asked if I'd be willing to take a breathalyzer, and I was like, absolutely. I mean, I had the confidence of 1,000 Michael Jordans. And I failed. You know, the legal limit in Georgia is a .08. I blew a .09. I'll never forget. You know, it's raining. I'm standing there in this gorgeous white dress and these incredibly expensive high heels that I basically used my mortgage on. And he said, you know, you are under the arrest for drinking and driving. And I just, in that very moment, thought to myself, everything that I had worked for, all of the calculated moves that I had made, all the plans that I had to eventually work at ESPN one day and walk in the same halls that Robin Roberts, it's over. It's done. And I sat in the back of the police car and I talked with the police officer a little bit. I didn't cry because even in that moment I had the wherewithal to know that this picture was going to end up everywhere, you know, and I didn't want to be the teary, cry, mascara running down her face girl. So I talked to him and I said, you know, this is gonna end my career. You know, it is. And I understand that you're just doing your job, but this is gonna be it for me. And you know, he was a very nice police officer. He explained he was doing his job. It turns out he was the same police officer that had arrested Reese Witherspoon 2 weeks before that. Yeah. And I was very.
He had an eye for talent, Elle. You got to give him that.
Apparently,
for talent.
apparently. Yeah, right. I was like, that's his claim to fame. Me and Reese were right there. But I remember he showed me a lot of humility and grace even in that night. And he said, it doesn't have to be the end for you. It doesn't have to be over for you. And I was grateful because in that moment, when I did think everything was coming crashing down, when the part of me wanted to say to him, a .09, I mean, that is half a drink too much. Like, I'm okay. I didn't use my blinker. That's why you pulled. What did you do? Again, he was doing what he was supposed to do. And I was lucky later on that police officer went to bat for me. And he actually went to court and spoke to a judge and said, if this was the old days before camera, I probably would have followed her home, to be frank, or I would have dropped her off. I don't think that her career should be over. I don't think that you should charge her with this. I don't think you should convict her of this. So they did not. They dropped the charges. But it was humiliating. I mean, I had I had third grade teachers. I was from Atlanta. I was born and raised there. I had third grade teachers reaching out to me on Facebook saying, like, do I need help and am I okay? And do I need to talk to someone about substance abuse? And then conversely, I had people that weren't concerned about me at all and were calling me a potential murderer and sharing these devastating stories about family members being killed by drunk drivers. And it was a very difficult time in my life, but I certainly leaned on the people that I knew loved me, and I leaned on the colleagues that carried me through.
Yeah. And, you know, you've talked to me and you were on my podcast talking about all the work that you put in, all the relationships that you made before that meant that it wasn't the end, that people were willing to hire you, that people were willing to give you another chance because you had proved who you were. But during that stretch and since that stretch, you've not been able to Google yourself. We've all done the Googling of ourselves, but you haven't been able to because that worst moment, that low moment for you would always come up first until Girl Dad and that beautiful essay on SportsCenter. Talk about what inspired you to say it and be vulnerable with your feelings and emotions and how people reacted to it.
Honestly, Sarah, I was just sharing a story, as many of us were, after Kobe died. The day after he died, I had to work the 6 p.m. SportsCenter, and I was just talking with one of our producers, Sam Tanucci, and we were sort of exchanging stories. And I just recounted the literal one time I had ever met Kobe, because it had happened just a couple years before, and just what that conversation was like. And he asked if I would be willing to sort of share that on air. And I immediately was like it feels, I don't know him. There are people that really know Kobe that are being very raw and authentic, and they are bleeding publicly talking about this man, and it just feels like it is making it a little bit too much about myself because I don't know him, and I don't want the impression that I did. And he said, no, I think that this is a way that we're hearing a lot of accounts of who he was as an athlete and a player and a teammate, but I think this sort of humanizes him, that in that moment you guys were just a parent and an almost parent sort of talking about something that we are all very familiar and accustomed to, and that is just the people that we love in our life. So I think it would be really nice to share, and anytime you can add personal testimony to something like this, it's good. So he went to the producers. They agreed that it, it would work, and then of course, like any good producer does, they said, "Can you say it in 90 seconds?" And then I was tasked with kind of taking a 30-minute conversation and making it 90 seconds.
Well, you did a beautiful job. I'm interested to hear, because I had never heard the phrase girl dad before. Maybe it's because I'm not, on the mommy blogs and the daddy blogs. But after that, it was everywhere. And celebrities and tons of people talking about being girl dads. I'm wondering if there's one or two that stand out to you where you're like, holy cow, that person watched my essay or that person responded.
Yeah, it was crazy because I went to bed that night quite early after the show because I had to do the 7 a.m. SportsCenter. So the turnaround was fast. I'd be up at 3:30 in the morning. And when I woke up, I had maybe 150 new text messages. And one of the ones that stands out to me was one of my friends being like, yo, Chrissy Teigen just put this up on Instagram. And I was like, oh, wow, I follow her. And but I thought what was really cool was not even just the celebrity aspect, but the people that were being it wasn't all just people saying like, oh, I've always embraced having a daughter and like, this is amazing. I had people say to me that they had always had a very tough relationship with their daughters because they did want boys and they didn't understand that dynamic, and that it had taken them a long time to land at the happiness that Kobe had about being a girl dad. I had girls say that they had been estranged from their fathers for many years, but that this had inspired them to reach back out because life is too short. Gabrielle Union, I thought, had a really, sort of beautiful post as well, where she talked about like it did take time for her and her dad to build that relationship. It wasn't, just instant gratification of having a daughter. And so that's what I thought was really special, was that it wasn't just people patting themselves on the back for, yeah, I've got daughters and I think it's great. It was people being really vulnerable and talking about their experience to landing at the happiness of having daughters.
Yeah. Well, vulnerability over the last couple panels has been a key. Authenticity and being yourself. And I think it's so much easier said than done. Once you get comfortable and validated, it's much easier to say, oh, people like who I am? Great, I'll stick with it then. But the message to people who are still finding out how to be themselves authentically at work or publicly or in romantic relationships, whatever it is that it's always best to obviously lead with yourself, and people will accept it and love it. And Elle, we certainly accept and love you and the authentic self you bring to everything. You want to sing us out? I retouch my selfies. Want to give us a little?
You want that one?
Whatever you got for me.
You want me to sing the Taylor dance? Oh, well, I'll sing something that always applies to my daughter. I have remixed a song recently for her, and now she's fallen in love with it because when she eats, it gets everywhere. So I've been singing to her lately, my cracker face, my cracker face. Carrot my, no you can read my cracker face. She's got crackers all over her. Carrot my.
Love it. Get back on that record deal. You could take over Kids Bop. I'm telling you. I'm telling that over Kids Bop.
100%. I could take over any lounge at any Holiday Inn in America. I'm coming for you.
Thank you, Elle. Love you.
Love you, Sarah.
Awesome stuff. I really do. I want an Elle Duncan album. I really do. I also want to hear from Crystal Dunn, U.S. Women's National Team. Badass. She's coming up in just a little bit. Speaking of badasses, two ladies coming up here to talk to Crystal. Laughter Permitted coming up here. A live edition of it. One of my favorite podcasts. Never short on smiles, never short on donuts. And it's ESPNW writer and ESPN commentator, World Cup champion, living legend, smile giver, worm doer. Almost had to host this whole thing when my bandwidth didn't seem to be great this morning. Someone who always chooses to matter, like the book says behind me, Julie Foudy, and her omnipresent Laughter Permitted co-host, Emmy Award-winning ESPN and ESPNW producer with legs longer than her last name. It's Lynn Olzawi. Take it away, ladies.
Thank you, Spainer. You're doing a great job, sister. I am happy I did not have to hop in that hot seat for you this morning because I was all sweaty straight from a run. Len and I are super pumped to be a part of this party and to talk a little bit about Laughter Permitted. We're in our third season, and we interview trailblazing women about their incredible stories.
That's right. We've interviewed everyone from Robin Roberts to Billie Jean King, Mia Hamm, just to name a few. And if you are interested in checking us out after all of this, we are wherever you find your podcasts.
And a super cool milestone we get to announce. We just reached, I'm happy to report, our 1 millionth download for Reels. It happened.
And today we are giving you a taste of Laughter Permitted with not one, but two guests.
And first up, only the most decorated gymnast in the world, 5-time Olympic medalist, 4 of them gold at the 2016 Olympics in Rio, the incomparable Simone Biles. And we actually recorded this earlier due to her training schedule. So without further ado, and for our loyal Dope Village, you know what's coming up. It's not Elle Duncan's voice, it's mine. It's not so great. Get comfortable listening. It's Simone Biles.
Hi, Simone. So great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us, my friend.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Tell us how you are and where you are to set the scene, please.
So I'm in Houston, Texas, or Spring, Texas. I'm doing really well. The gym just started, just opened up on Monday, so I've been there all week.
Yes.
So that's kind of the scene right now, just getting back into the swing of things and trying to be normal again.
I can tell you one of the things I've missed the most is being able to go to the gym. How good does it feel to be back there now?
Well, after that amount of time off, it kind of sucks because your body hurts and then you get really sore, and so you just have to get back into the swing of things. But it felt nice to see like my coaches, my teammates, and just to be back on the equipment and in the environment.
Simone, you are famous for many things, but especially famous for your signature moves. And since you know I am a gymnastics expert, let me just for all of our listeners and viewers out there, let them know what that is. When you do a move that's never been done before, they name it after you. So there's the Biles, there's the Biles 2, there's the Biles vault, there's the Biles floor. How many moves do you have now?
I have 4. I have 2 on floor, 1 on vault, 1 on beam.
Okay, well, I see during quarantine, you've added another move in the handstand challenge. It might be your most impressive signature move of all. Literally, I was obsessed watching this video. Can you give us the backstory to this?
Yeah, so I actually was not the first person to do it, but everybody gave me credit for it, so I kind of feel bad for the person I saw do it. But they did it, and I was like, oh, that seems pretty cool. Let me try. And the one that I videoed and I posted, that was not my first try. I tried many, many times, and I switched pants so many times. And if anybody knows me, they knew how hard that was for me because I have toddler feet and I barely have toes. And so like to grip it, it was so hard for me and I could not get it. So whenever I finally got it, I was like, sweet, awesome, we're done. Let's just post it and be done with it.
I hate to admit this, I might have watched it like 20 times because of that point. Like at the end too. I mean, you were almost in that handstand position for a minute. How does your head not implode like that with all the blood rushing down?
Well, thankfully, every day in practice, we have to do a 1-minute handstand hold. So I think that's what helped me do the handstand challenge. So I was kind of used to it.
It's very, very impressive. I think we should give a slow clap for that, lady. Slow clap for Simone. Boom. All right, let's rewind actually to just before the quarantine because, which actually feels about 5 years ago. You are training for the Olympics, of course. You had just crushed the World Championship at the end of 2019. You're top of your game. You're feeling good. And then this pandemic happens. The Olympics announced that they're going to postpone until 2021, which historically takes a world war to derail the Olympics, as we know. Yes. What was your mindset when you heard that news, and what is it now?
I was pretty devastated just because I've never felt more ready this early in the season. And we were preparing to actually go do a World Cup in Japan. And we were supposed to leave in like 2.5 weeks. And I felt really comfortable. I felt really confident. I felt strong. And I was so ready for the Olympics to be this year because that's the mindset that we had, obviously, as everything was on schedule. And so once it kind of got derailed, it was hard to process. It didn't seem real life. And then it's just like, okay, what do we do from here? How do we train? But then there was a lot of unknowns. And I think that was the hardest part, actually, not just hearing the news of it being like postponed.
From a mindset standpoint, how did you make a turn from, I am ready for the Olympics, let's do this, to, I can't even go to my gym right now? How did you deal with that uncertainty?
Yeah, it was hard. But then since the whole entire world was going through it at the same time, you didn't feel alone. It wasn't like, oh, I'm being punished. It was like everyone in the world, in the sports world, like we're in the same boat. So I think that's kind of what helped me. It's not like just gymnastics was postponed, just it was for me. It was for everybody in the gymnastics, I mean, in the sports world. So it was hard, and I still felt like, oh, can I do another year? I'm getting pretty old. Will I be at the top of my game? But in all, I know that my coaches will prepare me for next year when the time comes. And once we saw what the timeline was, because we were unsure of how long we would be out of the gym, which ended up being like 7 or 8 weeks.
I hate to even think this way, but what if it doesn't happen in 2021, which there's already discussion about?
I know. I saw that yesterday. As soon as I got out of practice, I saw it, and I was just like, yeah. This is how some people make their livelihood. Like, I do not know what I would do. So I'm just praying for the best, hoping that it goes on, for selfish reasons, of course, but for all the athletes around the world working towards this dream, like, I hope it gets to go on. But then again, you never know. If everybody's health is at risk, then obviously we shouldn't host it.
You've already accomplished so much in your gymnastics career. Has the thought come to your mind, could you walk away from gymnastics today and be satisfied with what you've done? Or is there still more you want to accomplish?
No, most definitely. I could walk away from the sport and feel like I accomplished more than I ever actually imagined. Because whenever I was younger growing up, all I wanted was college scholarships. So I've exceeded that. And then I wanted to go to the Olympics or World Championships and Olympics. And I've been to 5 Worlds and 1 Olympic Games. So I'd be more than happy.
Well, if there is an Olympics in 2021, and I know you say, Simone, 23 is so old. But
for gymnastics,
you say that. You've been redefining the sport since you've been involved in it. Why not redefine the longevity of gymnasts in this sport?
Mental, physical health. People think what we do is easy, but then we're in the gym day in, day out, 7 hours a day, and they don't realize the toll it takes on our body. And mentally, it's like I was already being mentally drained and like almost not done with the sport, but just like going into the gym and feeling tired and be like, okay, I'm going to get my stuff, get out. We have this one end goal. And now that it's postponed another couple months, it's just like, how are we going to deal with that? We're already being drained. And so it's to keep like the fire in the sport within yourself alive.
I know. And it's hard with all this uncertainty. Switching gears a little bit, as you know very well, the governing body of USA Gymnastics has been anything but exemplary over this past decade, from sexual abuse to verbal abuse issues to the allowance of a culture where it just seems that they're breaking gymnasts down. And you are the face and often the voice of these athletes. What needs to happen there, and what is your wish list?
Personally, I just try to focus on myself, because if I get involved, it stresses me out, and it's a lot to put on myself to be the voice and the face of the sport, especially with USA Gymnastics being where they stand. Not a fan favorite. So obviously a lot more investigations need to be done. They need to have clarity in their words and why they do what they do. And they need to set an example first off, before anything else can happen. And I feel like they always lose their word, which doesn't make the athletes, the coaches, the people in the gymnastics world feel comfortable. But all in all, at the end of the day, I have my one goal. So I just go in the gym, drain out everything, and do my work. And that's the only thing I can focus on.
How do you handle that? Because it is a lot of frustration, right? When you feel like the group that's responsible for the governance of your sport doesn't have your back in a large sense. How do you mentally deal with that as well? Because it has to be an energy drain on top of it.
Yeah. No, it is, especially everybody wants me to speak out, and they don't realize how draining that is for me while I'm training. But I have a really great support system. My coaches are great. My parents are great. My agents are great. The sponsors that I work with all support me. And so I have really great teams surrounding me. So that just makes me go into the gym and just focus on me and the goals that I have.
When your fantastic career does eventually come to an end, sadly, I don't want to see that day happen. What will life look like after gymnastics for you? What do you see yourself doing?
Goodness, I'm not so sure. I'm not sure if I'd still be involved. I think the possibilities are endless in which direction I'd go in, because I could probably do a lot of stuff, but I think one of my main goals would be to be a voice for foster kids, because I know exactly what that's like, and I think they need a voice for them to advocate for them. So I would like to do that, and then probably a lot of other stuff, wherever it takes me, wherever life takes me.
Well, I hope that's way, way in the future. I hope we get to see you compete for many, many more years. Okay, Simone.
We need a few more Biles moves.
Oh,
Yes.
goodness.
Are you ready
We're ready.
for most pressing question, Simone?
Go for it.
She's like, yes, I think, maybe.
Yes.
Okay, I see your dog family has grown. Lynn and I were trying to figure out, because we are capital J journalists, how many dogs you have, and we have a debate. How big is the dog family?
We were searching your Instagram and Twitter to try and figure it out.
Okay, so my parents just got 2 new German Shepherds. And so those were my parents. I posted them because I got to pick them out. Because I'm like the dog whispering family, apparently. And so we got those 2 for my parents. And then I just added another Frenchie to my family. So it's just me, Lilo, and Rambo now.
Aww.
Yes.
family is growing. So
Yes.
beautiful. Yeah, it was the German Shepherds that got me then. We thought you were up to 4.
Yeah.
So
No.
those are
Maybe one
extended
day.
family. Okay.
Yes.
Second most pressing question. How many Zoom interviews have you done in quarantine? We're guessing it's been about 100.
Not 100. It probably feels like 100, but in the beginning, I kind of just needed some mental space for myself to figure out where I was, how long this whole thing was going to last when we would get back in the gym. So I kind of took time for myself. So in the beginning, we limited interviews for about 3 weeks. And then that's when I started opening up and feeling comfortable, and I was at a good headspace. So probably not a whole bunch, but more than people think.
Well, I'm happy you decided to do one with us. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I also love that self-care component. I think all of us are learning how vital that is to take care of ourselves. So I think it's a wonderful message that you did that.
Yes,
and continue to.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm kind of at the point where if I don't do another Zoom interview for the rest of my life, I would be okay.
Right. But at least we have these resources, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We get to talk to people still. At least it provides some connection. Finally, I know you love your shows. What is your favorite binge during quarantine?
Okay, so I'm actually a terrible Netflix watcher, and it takes me, like yesterday, it took me probably 2.5 hours to watch one episode because of the puppies and because I get distracted a lot. But right now I'm watching Outer Banks.
Oh, okay. Lynn, are you watching that? Lynn likes her shows as well.
I watched an episode. I didn't get into it personally. Julie has no idea what you're talking about, though.
Yes, so they said the first episode or two are slow, but I kind of jumped right into it, and I like it. So,
did you ever watch Tiger King?
I did watch Tiger King. That was crazy.
See, I haven't even done that. I will say it out loud. I have not watched.
You're
Tiger
way
King.
behind.
I know. I blame my kids. I always blame my kids. You can blame your dogs. I blame my kids.
True.
All right, high-low cheer. This is something, as you know, having been on the Laughter Permitted pod before, we do at the end of our show. And we're going to mix it up this time. We're going to do high-low cheer of quarantine. This is something we do around the table. We've been doing a lot of high-low cheers around our table with my kids during quarantine. But if you could give us your high of the quarantine, your low of the quarantine, and your cheer is for someone you are grateful for.
Okay, so I'll start with my cheer. I would say my parents and my agent for keeping me level-headed during this time. I know it's not easy having my parents watch me go through this, and then having my agent have all the requests come in and refigure my schedule and everything that entails on that side. So I would like to thank them. So I'm very thankful for them, love them. The highs would kind of be mentally, physically resting my mind, my body, just being able to stay home and see my family and cherish this time, which I've never really had before because I've always been in the gym or on the go, and I never really get to like relish in that time. And I guess the low would be just seeing the whole entire world go through this and seeing the devastation that it brings.
I know, which is hard to watch on a daily basis, isn't it?
Yes.
Simone, I don't know, and I know you don't know what's next with all the uncertainty, but we do know whatever you take on, you are going to soar, sister. So thanks for all you've done. Thanks for all you'll continue to do. And I can't wait to watch you in this next phase, whatever it is.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
The
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love me some Simone Biles. How can you not love that woman? All right, next up, let's get to our next guest. Without further ado, she is the Crystal Dunn, World Cup champion, 2-time NWSL champion with the North Carolina Courage, and just an all-around awesome human, as we know. I shall wave my magic wand. Appear, Crystal.
Oh,
appear.
Here I am.
Yes.
I miss you guys. I wish I could give
good
you all
to
a big
see
hug.
you.
Hey, Crystal.
We need to first say congratulations. I don't know if you know this. You hold the very prestigious distinction, Crystal, of being on the podcast more than any other guest.
Wow, really? Oh,
Crystal, you have
really,
been on.
You guys must really enjoy my company. I mean, that's just, that's a compliment for you guys too.
Crystal, we can't get enough of you. You have been on, this is now your third appearance. Julie and I have decided that if you get to 5, we're going to give you a gold watch.
Gold watch.
Okay, very nice.
Maybe
I get a necklace as well.
Maybe a golden donut. Some full bling.
I would love that.
Now, we're thrilled to have you back. Can you tell us where you are and how you are to set the scene, Crystal?
Yes. Okay, so I am back in North Carolina with my team in my apartment. So yeah, I made the long trip from Portland all the way to North Carolina. It was a bit scary to be on a commercial flight at this time, but I made it. And I'm back in North Carolina.
Awesome. There is a lot of soccer news out there right now.
Yes.
I don't even know where to start, but let's start with the equal pay lawsuit. This was obviously a huge issue in women's sports, a huge issue for women everywhere. And there were a lot of people hoping that with this equal pay lawsuit that the national team had filed, that you'd be a tipping point in this fight. Yet the judge, if we rewind a little bit, on May 1st, made the ruling, and he gave his opinion that the team had actually not been underpaid in comparison to the men's team, and therefore he rejected the compensation piece of your case. What was your initial reaction to that news?
Very disappointed. I think the team definitely did not think it would end up this way. We were really hopeful, and we thought, the judge was going to vote in our favor. But, the team stayed unified. We contacted each other and just talked it out. And I think, we just move on and we move on from this moment. I think going forward, we have to have an even better relationship with U.S. Soccer. I think, even though the lawsuit went this way, I do think it's going to open up doors for us all to just have a better connection and have a better relationship, because I think it's really important going forward.
How big of a setback do you think that is for the team?
It is a setback, obviously, but we're hopeful. We're hopeful that, again, like I said, the relationship gets stronger. I think Cindy, I always call her CP, so I'm going to keep calling her CP. CP is going to be an awesome president, and she's going to really help us and steer us in the right direction to, just become more unified from the top to the bottom with U.S. Soccer. So I think it'll be good. I'm really hopeful, and that's all we can really hope for right now.
And on that note, Crystal, the idea of having a better relationship with U.S. Soccer, in thinking about the next move for the team, has there been discussion about actually sitting down at the table with U.S. Soccer to try and come up with a settlement?
Not really at this moment, just because we are in the middle of a pandemic. Things have been kind of slow, and I think at the end of the day, a lot of people right now are focusing on themselves, their mental space, and I think we really allowed time for us all to focus on the things that mattered a lot to us in this moment, and that's being in a safe space and connecting with your loved ones. So, we really haven't talked much about it at this point.
In more soccer news, Crystal, breaking news actually, NWSL yesterday announcing they could become the first major pro league in the United States to start playing. And people want to see people playing, of course. They want professional sports back. But let me give a little context to some listeners and viewers who may not quite understand what it is. It's going to be called the NWSL Challenge Cup. It will be all 9 teams. It will be over 30 days in Utah. I know there are lots of testing, a lot of protocols. There will be a winner in all of it. We can debate that later, but there are still lots of unknowns. And I am told, Crystal, there is a handful of national team players that are in. there are a handful of national team players that are probably not in, meaning not playing, wanting to play in that month-long tournament, and then the rest are undecided. Where do you fall in that spectrum, and how much pressure is there on you to play, being such a star of the team?
Yeah, I mean, national team players, we have a lot of pressure on us at all times. If we make a decision, people question us on why we made that decision. And, there's a lot of responsibility on us. But however, I do think the tournament was set up for everybody. It's not a national team tournament. It's not just the NWSL players. It's everyone's tournament. So during this time, I think it's really important that people do understand that it has to be based on your comfort level. And I think it's really cool that we all support each other. If you want to play, awesome. If you don't, that's awesome too, because this has to be an individual decision. And people might feel on the outskirts or be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be making that decision to not play. But it's important that they know that there is support for them. I support any of my teammates that say that they don't want to play. And of course, I support the teammates that are 100% bought in and ready to go. I personally am very much taking it day by day, week by week. I think COVID is obviously very scary. You have no idea what, can happen to you when you do contract this disease, obviously. So it's important to not think, this only happens to older people, or I'm immune. The millennials nowadays, we think we're invincible, and I'm like, we're not. So it's important that we all understand that this is a very serious virus and no one should want to get it. So I think for me, I had that scare, of course, in the back of my head, but also physically. I think, like you said, the tournament is 1 month long. It's basically a month away. We have to vamp up this whole preseason and be prepared to play in a World Cup style format. And that's not easy. And in the NWSL, you guys know, you've watched a bunch of games. It is a very hard task to compete against these women every single game. So me personally, I just want to be healthy. I want to get back and play. I, of course, missed the game, but I want to do it in a safe way. I want to be protected from COVID, but I also want to be protecting myself and not getting injured.
Yeah, and I know you've said to me before that everyone has had very varying different levels of their ability to train, whether they've had access to fields, to parks, and all of that, or whether they've been confined mostly to an indoor space. So turning that around and being ready for, in air quotes, a season is not, I get it, is not an easy adventure. All right, one final cue before we go to most pressing questions.
Well, Crystal, people know you as a star in the U.S. Women's National Team. You were crucial in the win in last summer's World Cup. What people might not know is that back in 2015, prior to that World Cup, you were the last player cut. I hate to bring it up. We've talked about it with you before in podcasts. I do have a point. I want to get there. If you want to hear the full story, it's a good one to listen to. Check out our previous conversations with Crystal. But you have been through adversity. You had that experience. That was a really tough time. You've talked to us about that. And right now, people are experiencing tough times, whether it's career, if you're an athlete, in life. What advice would you give to people who are facing a challenge?
I mean, I think, we all go through stuff. No one, goes completely through life without a failure or a disappointing moment. And obviously the world is in a really weird place right now. And, not really to compare where we are right now in this world to me missing out on the World Cup in 2015. But I think, in both cases, I really just leaned on the people that support me, who care for me, and who always are going to shoot it straight with me. But I think that's really important that we have those people in our corners. I think the best story that I can really tell from 2015 was I met my husband in that year. He was actually a really good friend of mine who helped me, watch the Women's World Cup during that time. It was really hard for me. And, he just was by my side every step of the way. And, during this quarantine time, he was right there, just making sure I was okay, making sure I can train and do any little bit of things that I can do to, clear my mind and keep a great mental headspace. And I think that's just the best advice I can give for anyone just going through a tough time now and in the future, whenever it is just really hug the people that you can who care the most about you.
Clear your mind, indeed. All right. Well, and that story is a phenomenal one because I know there was a lot of heartbreak with that, Crystal, so I commend you greatly. Most pressing questions, Crystal. Forget this serious stuff. Let's go. All right. I hear you got chickens during quarantine.
Yes.
Can you please explain yourself?
Well, everyone should know that it was definitely my husband wanting these chickens, but I was kind of like, all right, what, I don't know how to take care of these things, but we'll see. And I love them. They are the funniest animals ever. They like do what they want. They like don't really know what's going on. And they're like my babies. Right now they're not laying eggs, so really they are pets for me. They're not, more than anything just birds in a corner, but I love them and it's fun. And during quarantine, I was doing like so many weird different things, and chickens was definitely one of them. I was like, what do no one knows me as this person that's going to own chickens, So it's definitely been an experience.
How many? Give us some context.
Well, I have 5, and they're all different breeds.
Wow.
So, the farmer that gave them to us was basically like, hey, they're all great layers and, they're all different. And I was like, that's really cool. They're all 5 sisters, but, they're all different. They have their own vibe going on. So, yeah, we started a garden. That's another thing. I never really was into gardening. I didn't really live anywhere where we really grew our own vegetables and things like that. But no, my husband took the lead and I followed, and our garden is gorgeous. And I was really proud of it before I left. So those are 2 things that I really take away from quarantine. It's just starting a garden, because you have to be very, very, very patient. And my chickens that are messy. So you have to clean up after them all the time.
Who are you? I don't even know you.
Impressive.
I
Raising
literally don't know.
chickens and a garden. Oh my gosh. All right, we're told by Allie Krieger and Ashlyn Harris, of course, your national team teammates, that you were the MVP of the dance floor at that royal wedding. So we want to know, what is your secret to getting the party started?
I really have no secret. Like, their wedding, first of all, I enjoy all of my friends getting married. It's the greatest thing ever, because I kid you not, I'm always like, well, am I getting invited or what? Like, I need to be there. And at their wedding, I was on the dance floor from start to finish. I mean, at the very end, I was like, yeah, maybe Ashton Kriegs, I should probably get a photo with you. But like, it really was about the dance floor and the music. But I don't really have tips. I mean, I just like hear the beat and I'm just kind of like, okay, like, let's go. And you have to like pry me off the dance floor. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I hear the beat and it's not pretty. You do not want me to hear the beat. All right, last segment, high-low cheer. You've done it before, Crystal, but for right now during quarantine, we're doing high-low cheer of quarantine. So high of quarantine, low of quarantine, and someone you're grateful for.
Okay, so high of quarantine was spending the most amount of time ever with my husband. I mean, we've been married for 2.5, 3 years now, and I'm like, I don't know if we've ever spent 2 months in a row together. It was like, this is weird. Hope I like you by the end of this still. And yeah, but everything's good. We're fine. We still love each other. So that was a high, just having that connection and that time together, because we don't really get that as athletes. We're flying all over the place. Low will definitely be not being able to, train the way I want to train. It's just, it was really a free for all. And it was like, oh, I have this little patch of grass. Let me make it work. But I think just missing the game was a real big low. And obviously, on the news, hearing all the deaths, all the healthcare workers that were running out of resources. And that was a really big low that really hit me hard the first month of quarantine. And I think that really shook me. And I needed a little bit of time to understand what was going on in this world. So that was a low. And I'm grateful for just everyone who's picked up the phone and just called me to like check in. And my family, obviously being so far, being from New York, I just felt even closer to them in a weird way, because we scheduled our Zoom calls every single week. And that was probably the most I've talked to my parents, like just back to back, week by week, just catching up and making sure they were doing all right. And just grateful for them. Yeah, grateful for everybody that just really checked in on me. I think that was really awesome and really cool.
It is important to be checking in on people. Thank you for checking in with us. Crystal Dunn, my friend. Hey, since you are so good at dancing, do you want to end this segment and throw it to our Wonder Woman, Laura Gentili, by doing, we're going to call it a bust a Zoom. So in your little square, What would be your bust the Zoom dance move?
Bust a Zoom. And I'm just going to sit here and do a move. Okay, let's see. What move is probably easy for people?
Go, Crystal. Go, Crystal. Go, 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 Crystal. Go, go.
I mean, that's
go,
something
Crystal.
simple. That's
go,
just like,
Laura.
if you have
go,
like
Laura.
arms, you can do that. Like, that's just, you know.
I like it. Yeah. Shoulders in. I think it's all about the face myself. Laura, let's go. Give me the
Hello.
face.
I'm a little bit more about the shoulders and the arms.
Awesome.
That's
I can
right.
wake up now, right?
All right, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce our next guest. She's Jody Markley. She's a colleague of mine, a friend of mine. She's really the woman that helped us pull this together in this manner. She runs an enormous team. She's a longtime aficionado of the ESPNW Summit. She's attended 8 of them. And she's an ESPNW loyalist. She's our Executive Vice President of Content Operations and Creative Services. Jody and her team oversee and enable 4,000 remote linear productions and events every year. And then here we are. We find ourselves without a live events, and the world has changed. So Jody, I want to ask you, on March 11th, when the NBA began to cancel games and the sports world turned upside down, what did your team do in the hours, days, and then weeks since to kind of get your head around this new reality?
Well, hi, Laura. Great to see you. During the month of March, when all this first started happening, we figured out very early on that we needed to quickly and dramatically reimagine how we are creating content. We also knew our number one priority was the health and safety of our people. So really every move was made through that lens. So first thing, our remote operations team installed cameras at our announcer and analyst homes. I'm actually talking to you from one now, and it's ongoing. Since March 12th, the team has deployed over 100 in-home cameras and have more installs every day. We also developed what we're calling live from home production, where each member of the production team controls their portion of the show from their home. So the graphic operator, the producer, the talent, the editors, everybody's producing their piece, and all the elements are fed into a piece of equipment in our facility. And then the director kind of these elements and creates the show from their home. And they're all talking to each other the same way we are through this app. I should probably not pick it up. I don't want to hang up on anyone. But this new workflow has enabled us to produce or bring back shows like The Jump, Around the Horn, Pardon the Interruption, and Jalen and Jacoby. We are producing a small handful of shows from our Bristol facility, this one actually, and we're accomplishing this by minimizing our crews. We have this social distancing protocol, and of course, everyone is wearing a mask. And then lastly, on the live event side, UFC came back a couple of weeks ago, so we're actually very excited about that. And hopefully, all of you have been following at 2:30 and 5:30 every morning Eastern Time our Korean baseball, which is actually just fantastic. And to accomplish that, we installed audio equipment at our baseball announcers' homes. You can see it there. So we're using several innovative workflows. We're learning more and more every day, and keeping people, as safe and healthy as we can.
Yeah, Jody, it's really astounding. I mean, for everyone watching this summit, that's exactly what Jody and her team enabled with all of us, in Sarah's home, in my home, in Julie's home, and it's just worked seamlessly. I think we're 3 hours in, so far so good. And then I want to turn even more attention to the WNBA draft. As you know, we have a ton of WNBA fans on this, in this production and watching. On April 17th, it was really our first true virtual event. How did your team approach that? Because that must have been super nerve-wracking in that it was our very first attempt.
Yeah, so, I mentioned our mission to minimize our on-campus footprint. So the first thing we did working with the WNBA was to install a camera in Commissioner Engelbert's home. And then in the homes of all the athletes who were the top draftee prospects, Holly Rowe used her in-home camera to interview the players throughout the show. And then in our Bristol studio, hosts Ryan Rucco, Rebecca Lobo, and Sue Bird were all socially distanced on set. You know, minimal camera crew, again, everybody's wearing a mask, and social distance among the production crew. So as you said, it was our first big virtual production. The show really turned out great. We were very proud. It was just a wonderful moment for our team and, you know, for the company.
And then, in true ESPN style, the NFL draft 6 days later.
Yes.
So
yes.
April 23rd through the 25th, taking, again, what we've learned at the WNBA draft to the very next level with the NFL draft, which was supposed to be held in Vegas and was going to be this enormous live production, of course. Walk us through that specific production, which was incredibly ambitious.
Well, just if you think back to what we did last year in Nashville, which was a tremendous show, you know, 3 stages, we did 2 shows, ESPN and ABC, hundreds of thousands of fans. You know, it was a big production. So as you said, you know, this year was supposed to be in Las Vegas, and we had been working with the NFL on this for almost a year. You know, we knew where all of our stages were going to go. We built this fabulous animation that had, you know, Las Vegas all over it. We were deep into our plan. And then, you know, of course, the plan changed. So working with the NFL, we reimagined, you know, another kind of big show. And this one was going to be virtual. And Las Vegas was going to be Bristol, Connecticut. So, you know, again, partnering with the NFL, we had cameras in all the players' homes, team owners, coaches, of course, Commissioner Goodell, all of our reporters, all of our analysts. And we still did 2 distinct shows, one on ESPN and the NFL Network with Trey Wingo hosting and a myriad of virtual guests. And then one, of course, on ABC with Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, Maria Taylor, and a myriad of virtual guests as well. And, you know, one thing we were really proud of was how amazing our campus looked. The lighting team lit the entire outside plaza. I mean, it just looked fabulous. The lighting was programmed to reflect the team colors as they were making selections. We had a drone flying over the campus for these amazing shots. And then, you know, the graphics were actually virtual, and they all happened in this outside plaza. You can see them. It looked fabulous. Most importantly, it was extremely well received by fans, and, you know, it was a big team effort, and we were just thrilled.
Yeah, you should be. I'm a huge NFL draft fan, and I just thought it was exceptional, and it was really great to be in the homes of these draft picks who, you know, their lifelong dreams have come true, and we were still able to capture that. So you're now working in this new normal. We are all kind of, you know, in this new phase. It's 10 weeks in, as I mentioned off the top. This is now our 3rd virtual program, the ESPnW Summit. Again, thank you so much for enabling it and diving in. How do you think it's gone?
I think it's going great so far. I mean, it's not easy to follow Crystal Dunn and all these other amazing athletes. You know, as you know, Laura, everybody was very, very excited to work on this show. And, you know, great idea by you doing this summit virtually and streaming it. You know, you mentioned we are integrating this back in Bristol. We have a fabulous team of people working on this. I think we can see them. We have a picture. Our producer, there she is, Claire Atkins, our director, Susan Malinsky, associate director, Lisa Camerata, and our technical director, Megan McCormick. So, you know, you have the absolute, you know, fabulous team working on this, and you're in absolutely solid hands.
Yeah, thank you, for sure. You know, with the summits particularly, we do a nice job of showcasing our on-air talent, you know, particularly our female on-air talent. But I think everyone should know, you know, the folks behind the scenes at ESPN really are incredible. And they enable things like this. They enable NFL drafts, and they're pretty much the unsung heroes of our operation. So it's nice that we're at least able to shine a little bit of a light on them and their awesome work. So thank you, Jody. Appreciate it very, very much.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Sarah. We're back to you, my friend. Can you believe we've made it this far?
Hello, bandwidth coming through. This morning I was buckets of sweat, and here we are wrapping things up. By the way, #1 trend nationally on Twitter, if we do say so ourselves. And yeah, shout out to that lady-filled control room back in Bristol holding it down for us and getting all this technology from Leah to everybody else. This is more of a feat than it looks, which means we succeeded because no one had any idea all the underwater feet pedaling that was going on. Got some takeaways, Laura, from today?
I do. I know you're an overachiever on this. Every time we do this, you have like paragraphs and you're well rehearsed, and then Foudy barely says anything. I'll try to split the difference on that. I have 3. One from Sabrina when she said, "Be the author of your own story." Particularly when her biggest hopes and dreams at the time of going for a national championship is scuttled, and there's not much you can do about it. But you can take control of your future, and you can take control with how you respond to that. And I just thought it was a really great way to put that in perspective. Do you want to go back and forth, or do you want me to just do all 3?
Go for it. Finish up.
All right, number 2. Love and gratitude that Lizzie Cutler reminded us to hold in our heart. And it was nice that it came in the middle of the summit. It was also reinforced, I think, when you see you talking to Mina and Katie and how much respect and love you have for each other, and Elle Duncan, and the fact that we're saying love you every time we sign off. It's real and it's not manufactured. And I think that's not only what makes things like the summit work, but it makes our whole organization work really well, and we really do support each other, and it's definitely women having each other's backs. And then 3rd, okay, I don't know who Miles Ehrlich is, but I liked his tweet. He tweeted about our summit. While he was watching you and Mina and Katie, he wrote, "Today is a good day." Which I think during this pandemic is really, really meaningful and really touching. So shout out to Miles Ehrlich. We needed a good day, and hopefully we delivered it.
I saw a handful of people with the hashtag ESPN NYC, ESPnW NYC saying the same thing. I wasn't sure, and this is just giving me the joy that I needed. To build off some of the things you said, I also really liked Sabrina Ionescu talking about focusing on the things that she can control, because that's a through line throughout this quarantine. We really can't control a lot of the outside stuff. So focusing on the things that we can be in charge of and what we can be in control of is key. For Lizzie, the gratitude stuff, but also the low-hanging fruit. And once again, for me, it comes back to that every day being able to say, my legs work, my eyes work. I'm out here doing yoga during this break that I have in my day. I've got a house to be in, a family that loves me, people that are healthy around me. Those little reminders every single day make it really easy to stay positive and to keep pushing through and get stuff done and focus on, as Dave Matthews would say, don't burn the day. These aren't wasted days just because they're not normal days. We can still do so much with them, and having an attitude towards accomplishing things during this, I think, is really important, which brings me to 2 of Crystal Dunn. I'm jealous of her chickens. We keep wanting to get them, and we have a tiny backyard and 3 dogs. We don't know if the chickens and the dogs would be best friends, so it hasn't happened yet. But I also learned from her that most of the key to good dancing is the stank face, because we couldn't even see most of her body. All we saw was her stank face, and I was still really impressed with her dancing. I think that was most of it. My final takeaway is that there's a weird pig head behind you that someone pointed out on social media. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to let that be a personal thing for you. That weird deflated pig head behind you is just...
No, it's a little known fact. We have a pretty good collection of Halloween costumes around here, so that's just one tantalizing mask.
Next summit, we'll open up my costume closet and see who wins. It's going to be me. I'm just letting you know that in terms of Halloween costumes stored at the house.
I think you have the goods on that front, I'm sure.
Yes. Want to remind everybody, tomorrow morning, we're going to be sending you a quick survey from us. We do this summit, and Laura took the initiative to make it all virtual because we want to bring you guys this great content and these experiences. We want to be able to connect with you even when we can't connect in person. So it's really helpful to us to tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what worked, what didn't. It'll take just a couple minutes. So please share your thoughts. You also shared your thoughts with some quarantine tips. I gave you Brandy Chastain's, and then I said I wasn't going to do mountain climbers, and now she's going to send me the whole work. I don't want it, Brandy. I'm not going to do it. But here's the other tips that you guys gave us. At Sportney_Lyle said, working puzzles is a sport. I know Mina Kimes would be with you on that one, whether it's New York Times crossword or Sudoku or whatever. You can make that a sport. Hashtag Marissa says, take a 45-minute walk, limit your screen time, and allow time for creativity. Agree with that. Unless there's a summit from ESPNW, then don't limit your screen time. Mandy Nelson says, be gentle with yourself and others. That is a great point that Lizzie made, too. Think about how you're treating yourself and if you treat your friend the same way for whatever you might be working through. Ash_Slay the Day says, try new things, cook, dance, get out of your comfort zone. I love that one. Everything's not normal right now, so why not try some different things? At Alleyoop3P, it's never too late to network. Use this time to build your business. Great idea. Lots of connecting can be done virtually. And finally, Dream Big LD says, drink Chardonnay out of small apple juice bottles to get you through your so many work Zoom calls. Great idea. No one knows what's in that cup, and if you need it, go for it. Love those quarantine tips. And Laura, wanted to refer to Crystal Dunn just being on. How exciting is it that we have NWSL coming up and some tennis, some other women's sports on the horizon?
No, we're all ready for it. We're certainly ready for it. We've certainly been missing it. I do want to give one more shout out to the team behind this. Rachel Epstein, Sarita Cobbs, the ESPN marketing team, the ESPNW team have really put, again, their heart and soul into this. Little shout out to Rachel. Wanted to give her a chance to get some of the limelight. But no, it's like I said, it's a massive team effort. Really proud of what we've built over the last 10 years. And you know, as we've migrated ESPNW into the heart of the company and within marketing, you know, we've applied a ton of what we've learned over the years. We've been at this for 10 years and really staying close to women as sports fans and women who love sports. It's really impacted a lot of the work, and it's really impacted a lot of our brand approach when it comes to ESPN. Jimmy mentioned it beautifully, you know, a few segments ago, but really understanding the female sports fan really, really well and applying that to our brand work and the overall voice of ESPN has reaped really great rewards. There's a new campaign that we've established called There's No Place Like Sports. It was initially created to speak directly to sports fans, female sports fans, and then lo and behold, we found out that everybody liked it. And so we kept on building upon it, and it's really gotten a great reception. So wanted to share this as our last piece of creative with you today. There's no place like sports. This is the piece that we ran in the midst of this pandemic, and I think we can all share the sentiment that we really miss sports, and we can't wait till they're back. And I just want to thank you all for being with us today.
Congratulations to New Orleans.
42 years of age, emergency support goaltender. Get it out, Kerfoot. Hyman, what a save!
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
What a senior opening day. I am pumped. And I got goosebumps right now.
PALAMA?
Correct. It's unbelievable.
Go, 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 go!
Ooh, chills. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Don't go anywhere because we're not quite done yet. And even if you are not rocking your full workout gear, find a little space by your computer or phone and do the best you can. Do as much of this workout as you can. It's a good way to get your blood flowing after watching a bunch of content. Joining me now, Dr. Jordan Metzel, award-winning sports medicine physician at the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York, a best-selling author. You can see a couple of his books have been behind me all day. Creator of the Iron Strength workout and person who regularly kicks all of our behinds at the ESPNW Summit. I've got my Gatorade, which is actually just the phone charger again, because I know you guys were all jealous. So I just want to make you jealous one more time that this is my coolest phone charger yet. I got my towel. I'm ready to go. So Jordan, take it away.
Sarah, thank you so much. And hello, everybody. And great to see everyone.
And just want to make a couple comments before we start our workout today. First of all, special thank you to ESPNW. I'm lucky to be one of the few guys involved on the advisory board and have been with Laura and the team since inception, and it's such an absolute pleasure. My strong feeling is that women and empowered women makes our whole world better, so every guy should be certainly fighting for this cause, making the world a better place, one empowered woman at a time. As a sports medicine doctor, the last couple months have been challenging, like in everybody else's industry, have shifted over to a lot of telemedicine and seeing patients from all over the world. Which has been really incredible. Our institution at Hospital for Special Surgery, where I work, has really been so supportive. And also in my fitness world, I've started teaching all my fitness classes for my community for free online, and would love to have everybody join us. There'll be some information at the bottom. As we finish up today's summit, and at the normal summits, when we're all together, we usually do workout classes in the mornings or the evenings. So we're going to finish off today with our 9-minute workout. You can see the link on the email you got today. This is the 9-minute workout. And basically, it's pretty easy to follow. Every box is 1 minute, and so we get a total of 9 minutes with some jogging breaks in between. And I'm going to be watching you. At 30 seconds in each minute, I'm going to give you a more challenging move that you have the option of doing. So with that, everybody stand up for like the 5 or 6 people in work clothes and everybody else who's in your leggings and sweats and everything else all day. Stand up and shake it out. Let's have some music. I'm going to put on my whistle. We can do a little louder on the music. That sounds good. Here we go. Don't be afraid to crank up that music. Warming up that body. We got some work coming up here. Wherever you are around the world, get that body moving. Doing some jumping jacks. Good. Let's get into some forward jacks. Looking good. Jumping jacks again. Good job, Sarah, out in Chicago. Doing great. You've been sitting for 3 hours, so this is the time to get moving. The good part of work from home means you're all in sports clothes already. Good. Except for Laura and Allison. Will, I see you there, man. Keep going. Jumping jacks. Good. Warming up. March it out. March it out. Good. I want you to squat it down. Walk it out. Got my Kansas City Chiefs hat. Walk it back. And come on up. Walk it down. Walk it out. Good. And up. And down. And out. And back. And up. One more. Walk it down. Stop right here. Left leg forward. Twist it out. Oh, that feels good after a long day of sitting. Good. Same thing right. Twist. Good. One more left. And twist. And right. And twist. Good. Up and jog. All right. So your break is your jog. Your break is your jog. Keep jogging, everybody. All right. So we're going down the boxes here. We're going to go squats, push-ups, and mountain climbers. That's our first row right here. All right. So squats, push-ups, mountain climbers. Coming right down the row. 30 seconds in, I'm going to give you a more challenging option. Feet turned out. Chest straight up. Hands behind your head. 30 seconds starting. Squats this way. So you keep facing forward. I'm going to turn sideways to show you your form. Chest is upright. Down. Turn those feet out. Open up those hips. Engage those glutes all the way down. 30 seconds right here. Keep going. Keep that chest up. Push the back of your head into your hands. Open up that chest, open up those elbows. Keep going. Another 10 seconds, just like that. Open up that chest, open up those elbows. In 5 seconds, we're gonna go to plyometric jump squats. 3, 2, come on, Julie Foudy, here we go. Plyometric, easy jump, here we go. Just like that. Easy jump, a plyometric, a rapid muscle elongation contraction cycle. You can see how much harder that gets. Push that head right in the back of your hands. Jump that out. Keep going. Come on. You got another 10 seconds. Come on, Lauren in Chicago. Jessica in Michigan. Good. 5, 4, 3, 2. Good. That's one set done. Here we go. Down to push-ups. Push-up position right here. Knees if necessary. Here we go. Down, up, down, up. 1 minute. Keep working those push-ups. We got 30 seconds right here, then we're gonna go into the more challenging move. Good work, Laura. Keep going. Come on, you got another 10 seconds. Keep that chest nice and flat. Keep that back nice and flat. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. If you want, right knee, push up. Left knee, push up. Right knee, push up. Left knee, push up. Right knee, right elbow, push up. Left knee, left elbow, push up. Come on, Brandy. Right knee, right elbow, push up. Left knee, left elbow, push up. Come on, another 10 seconds. Come on, I'm watching you. Keep it going. Do it for Patrick Mahomes. Come on. 5, 4, 3. Do it for Brandy Chastain, who's working hard with her mountain climbers. Here they come. 2. Good. Here we go. Mountain climbers. 1 minute. On your marks. Get set. Let's do it. Hup, hup, hup. Come on. Work it. Engage that core. This is all about core engagement. Keep that core nice and solid, right in the middle. Lower leg is moving, lower body's moving. The core is nice and stable. Come on, Maureen. I'm watching you. Let's go. Another 30 seconds. Come on, shout out to all the guys out there. You're looking good. Come on. 20 more seconds, 20 more seconds. Work hard. Work hard, come on. 15 more seconds. Crystal, come on, I'm watching you. Come on, you got it. Get those mountain climbers going. Move those feet. Come on, 5, 4, 3, 2. Good, up and jog. Recovery jog, 30 seconds. Nice and jog. Jog out that recovery. Keep jogging. All right, so this is all about high intensity interval training, everybody. Quick bursts of activity, tons of strength, tons of cardiopulmonary fitness. This is a really effective way to do that and to build that, all right? And Sarah, thanks for the books, by the way, on your bookshelf. I loved it. Everyone texted me. They said they looked awesome. Good job. We're going to planks. 5, 4, 3. Good. Right down to plank. Get down in plank and hold it right there. Forearm plank. I'll come closer to the camera. You hold your plank right there. Hold that forearm plank. Straight down the middle. So 30 seconds here. You can stay here or on your knees if you need. We're going to advance this here in 1 second. Everybody looks good. Okay, you have a choice of staying right here or touching. Right hip, up. Left hip, up. Right hip, up. Left hip, up. Right hip, up. Left hip, up. Right hip, come on, Allison, up. Left hip, up. Right hip, up. Left, up. 15 more seconds. Right, left. Right hip, up. Left hip, up. Right, up. Left. Come on. 5, 4, 3, 2. Good, up you go. Next minute, here we go. Here's what I got for you. Lunges, 2 options. Hands on your hips, 30 seconds. Lunge and back. Lunge, get going and back. Again, this is all about pelvic control. Control that pelvis, keep lunging. Watch me. Pelvic control, lunge and lunge. 30 seconds just like this. The next 30 seconds, I'm going to show you the ramp up. But keep these anterior superior iliac spine right here. Keep it nice and level, just like headlights. Don't let them move. Right there. Good. This is all about strengthening the muscles around your pelvis for all you soccer players. When we start talking about ACL prevention, we talk about strengthening these muscles. Good. In 5 seconds, we're going to go to plyometric lunges. 5, 4, 3, 2. Watch me. Here you go. Lunge. 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 Come on, 20 seconds of this. This will get your heart going. Come on. All about control. Come on, control that. Let's go. Come on, 10 more seconds. Work it. Come on, you've been sitting for 3 hours. Let's go. Come on, Betsy. 5, 4, 3, 2. Good, on your back. Great job, guys. All right, here we go, on your backs. Both feet, pelvis up, pelvis down, up, down. All of that strengthening the posterior chain. This is butt strengthening, down, up. Squeeze those butt muscles, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. All right, you can keep doing this if you want. Everybody else, left leg in the air. Here we go. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Good. Switch legs. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Come on, down. 3 more. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Good. Up and jog, up and jog, up and jog. Everybody's doing terrific. Great job for our viewers all around the world. Keep jogging. We got another 20 seconds, and then we have 3 more minutes. I hope everybody's feeling great. If you hate me a little bit, that's fine. It's happened before, it will happen again. No problem. Keep jogging. Here we go. Okay, we're starting with burpees, the most challenging move of our class. 1 minute with 30 seconds, making it harder. Here we go. Jump, kick, push up, jump, up, 1, kick, push up, hop, 2, come on, push up, hop, 3. This is all about form. I don't care how fast you go. Get them all in. Get all the way down on that push up. Come on, work it. Keep going. Keep going. Come on, another 10 seconds here. Then I'm going to show you the next move. Come on. Come on, Julie Foudy. Success Academy. Here we go. 5, 4, 3. All right, you can keep doing that or watch me. Jump. Kick. Right arm, left leg. Left arm, right leg. Push up. Come on, let's go, challenging people. Kick. Right, left. Left, right. Push up. Come on. Right, left. Left, right. Push up. Right, left. Left, right. Push up. Keep going. 5 seconds. Come on, Melissa. 4, 3, 2. Good. Up you go. Face me. Good. Airplane. Right leg back. Balance it. Right finger, left toes. Right knee, left elbow. Try and keep that fat leg in the air. Toes. Elbow. Toes. Elbow. Toes. Elbow. All about these stabilization muscles around your pelvis. This makes a big difference. Come on, use those glutes to stabilize. Toes. Elbow. Toes. Elbow. Come on. 5 more seconds on this side. Balance that out. You got it. Come on. 5, 4, 3. Switch sides. Here we go. Left side. Right toes. Left hand. Left knee. Right elbow. Toes. Elbow. Toes. These airplanes are awesome. We're strengthening all the muscles around that hip and pelvis. Makes a huge difference. Good job. All right, I'm sweating. I love it. Come on. Hope you do too. Let's go. Another 4 minutes. That's another 10 seconds. Come on. 5, 4, 3, 2. Good. On your back. Last minute, and then we get some bonus. Last minute. Here we go. On your backs. We're going bicycle. Here we go. Right, left. Get that midsection right. Get those shoulders off the floor. And twist it. Left, right, 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 left. Come on. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Come on, keep going. Keep biking. 5, 4, 3, 2, feet up in the air. Both feet straight up. Crisscross them down. Crisscross them up. Crisscross them down. Come on, Maureen, I see you. Don't slack. Crisscross them down. Come on, Rachel. Crisscross them up. Crisscross them down. Crisscross them up. Crisscross them down. Crisscross them up. Come on. Crisscross them down. Crisscross them up. Crisscross them down. Come on, let's go. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Good. Up and jog. Up and jog. We got 1 minute left. 1 minute left of this workout. Quick stretch and we're done. What are we going to do in our last minute?
I just want to
here?
say thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome
I'm about to say.
Here we go. Keep jogging. We have 1 minute of burpees. On your marks. I want this minute. Give me everything you got. On your marks. Get set. Go. 1 minute. Let me see those burpees. Come on.
All right.
Come on, Melissa, work
Keep
it.
going for your final minute. Don't
last
slow
minute.
down, but this feed's going to cut out. So thank you so much for joining.
Great job. Keep going,
Thank you to
everybody.
Gatorade and our sponsors. Thank you to our amazing guests. Thank you.